All right, welcome back to the IMNerdpodcast. I'm your host, Freeway, and I'm here with my co-host, Kenny.
Hold on, before you get any further, I have a question.
Okay.
You know, we always say welcome back to the IMNerd podcast.
Yeah. What about the people who this is their first episode?
No, but what did we say on episode 1? Did we just say welcome to the IMNerd podcast?
Honestly, I don't even know if I did an introduction for real for the first episode because I was so nervous. And when I listened back to that episode, it's low-key
I was
cringe.
gonna say, you guys are probably a little
our early episodes. I
bumbling
mean, I
around
don't
a
think they're
little bit.
bad, but we're definitely not as comfortable.
Yeah, like look at how well I do that opening. I'm fucking seasoned now. Like I'm a seasoned.
Especially when you read the names
You're
at
like
the
a-
end, you're all
You're like
slick.
a steak.
Like,
Yeah.
all right, we're gonna read our names, and you have like a flavor to it, you know.
Yeah, I'm really seasoned now, but I'm gonna do the countdown again, and we can just kick this thing off again. So all right.
Oh, I
3,
thought this was part of the episode.
Yeah,
two,
same. I thought it was
This,
part
I
of
mean,
the
I
episode, too.
am recording, but I'm going to do. I need to do my intro. I need to do my intro.
This
Go
is
with it.
part of
Go
the
with it.
intro.
No,
Keep
no.
it rolling.
3,
Keep it
2,
rolling.
1. All right, welcome back to the IMNerd podcast, guys. I'm your host Freeway. And I'm here with my co-host Kenny,
You
and
stole my content.
today it's going to be in there. And today we have 2 returning friends of the podcast and guests that we've had before. We have Majora Plays Games, aka Cheyenne, and we also have Big Boisterous Bill. So we are talking about a classic movie that I won't say I forgot about it, but someone in the IMNerd podcast Discord server went into the podcast suggestions channel and made a suggestion that we review Starship Troopers. And this movie for me is a classic, okay? I grew up watching Starship Troopers. Actually, it came out in 97, so 1997 for you people who are like born after that. I know that sounds like slave times or some shit, but 97 was a long ass time ago. And I happened to be 7 years old in that year. So, you know, you can do the math now to figure out my age or whatever.
Same.
I was 7 years old, and I, in hindsight, had no business watching this movie, but Starship Troopers is literally one of my favorite movies ever. And it's weird because I liked it the first time I ever saw it. And every time I've watched it again in my subsequent teenage years and stuff like that, I've just enjoyed it. But I think up until very recently, we watched it over the past weekend. Up until recently, I didn't notice some of the things that I notice now as an adult who like pays bills, who knows about the military, who knows about our shitty government, who knows about other shitty governments and stuff like that. Like it wasn't until very recently that I realized how much this movie is a parody of the military, of government, of foreign policy, and just things like that. I never realized those things until now, basically. And yeah, I now I love it even more because it's actually quite a funny movie, which I always thought, but it's even funnier now when you think about it. But how do you guys feel about Starship Troopers overall?
It's the best documentary ever.
It's
Best documentary ever. I've only seen the movie twice. I've seen it once. I was talking to you guys about this the night we watched it. I saw it once on an airplane. They just like showed it on an in-flight
right.
movie.
Yeah.
For you young snappers, you might not even know they used to do those things. But on the airplanes back in the day, they would bring down a screen and play a movie on it. I saw John Q. I saw Matrix. I saw all kinds of things on in-flight movies. And this is when I used to go to Portugal to visit my family. Anyway, I saw Starship Troopers. I think I was probably 10 years old. So it wasn't when it came out. It's a couple years after.
yeah.
I think I was about 10. On an airplane is the first time I ever watched it. And then I watched it this last weekend was my second time watching it. I don't think I've ever watched it all the way through since. I've seen bits and pieces of it on TV, but only those 2 times have I watched it all the way through. But it's a fun fucking movie. Definitely a parody. Definitely, it's weird because sometimes I feel like it wants to take itself seriously, but then other times it's very obviously just an
Fucking around.
fucking joke.
Right. It does flip
Yeah.
between the two of super serious because while it is a parody and is definitely has some comedic aspects, there's also a lot of murdering and gore and things that are unsightly to look at that make you think like, oh shit, I didn't expect this character to get mauled down like that or killed.
Yeah.
You know,
But
I was
here
gonna
we are.
say it's one of those movies like we used to watch it a lot as kids, right? Like back in the day, they would just show it on TV because like a titty, like, oh, stop the presses, like
Right.
this is a travesty, but like bug gore and like a dude getting his head ripped off, it's like, oh no, that's fine, it's fucking
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah.
Like they would just
wanna-
show it on TV.
I want to
There
know
are
the
probably
lore.
some edits, but like bug
What are the
gore, like
lore
I'm sure they
behind,
show
uh,
all that shit and stuff.
Bill, why is it the best documentary? What's the lore on that statement? I feel like there's
Well,
lore to
it's-
that statement.
I mean, it's not the best documentary. I mean, the best actual documentary is Red Dawn. I don't know. I love the movie. You know me. I love like militaristic things and all that stuff.
Like kind of spacey too.
I do want to say that you guys are like, oh, it's a parody on like the type of government. But how would you think they would have fared as the human race against the aliens if they were any other form of government with a weaker military force?
Well, they wouldn't have. That's the
They
reality of
would,
it.
yeah, but they would have got wiped out.
But
I read one
the
thing
parody
that
is
maybe
way
they
it
were the
plays
ones that were
out.
on the attack. Like maybe it was some bullshit, and they were like actually just trying to wipe out a planet. But there was that meteor or whatever. But like I don't. That's what I read. I don't fucking know if it's true or not.
But honestly, like when it comes to like them conquering space as like the human race, like you're not going to come across another species, and they're like you just don't like those bugs.
Like a
Like,
bitch.
there's no reasoning with them.
I gotta
Like
squash
there's probably
them
a planet
bugs.
with big fluffy guys.
Yeah, I
you
just
know,
want to
like
say,
big
Bill,
fluffy
the
critters.
propaganda got you. You're joining the truth.
I am.
He's in,
I'm
he's
signed
definitely
up.
in a
I'm gonna
little
be a
bit.
sky marshal. You guys, I'm
like
in.
Commander Bill.
But on the parody note, I love the scenes where it's like, "Do you want to know more?"
Yeah,
And it
the
shows you-
propaganda.
like,
I love the
Yes. Yeah,
propaganda.
Like
Propaganda is
it's
absurd.
kind of the internet before the internet comes out, and for me, I'm just kind of like,
Would you like to know more?
yeah, bugporn.com, bugporn.com. You know, like you just
No,
kind of
I love
okay.
it.
Can I say something? This is on topic but off topic.
Okay.
You mentioned like dealing with the aliens, right? I want to give the movie credit for one thing that it does better than almost every other alien movie since Alien. You ready for this? It has aliens that aren't a ripoff of the guy that made the alien from Alien. I don't remember his name. Cheyenne probably knows his name. You know, every alien now,
I forget his name. Like a
every
German dude.
alien ever,
Yeah.
and every piece of media is like inspired by
Ridley?
the fucking movie
like-
Alien.
Is his name Ridley something?
Not Ridley Scott. It's the guy who actually like created the
Oh,
fucking.
okay.
the design of like those
Yeah.
aliens.
Yeah, with the long head
that like
and everything.
monster. Yeah, that like monster.
H.R.
alien
Geiger.
design.
H.R. Geiger.
Yeah, H.R. Geiger. That monster alien design is like the go-to monster alien design for like everything now.
Yeah.
Like
If
for
you're
this, these guys are more meant for like quantity and not so much quality. Although I
Correct.
think they look fucking awesome.
Yeah,
But it's
Yeah,
more
I'm
like you're
saying-
looking at
I
like
love it.
swarms and shit. It's not really.
I love
meant
it.
for you to- the only time it ever really focuses. This is jumping ahead just a little bit, but well, a lot of bit. But like the only time it ever really kind of focuses on one singular alien is when they see that vaginal mucusy fucking slug thing,
Yeah.
like the vagina slug.
I'm not giving y'all vaginal on that
It
guy.
is
Call it-
fucking
we can't call
vaginal.
him vaginal slug.
It is
I'm not
vaginal.
giving
But,
it
like,
He's
I
being
love
ridiculous.
that scene. That's probably my favorite scene in the movie where the guy gets a fucking straw stuck in his head. He's like,
Yeah,
But anyway,
it sucks
credit
the brain
to an
out.
alien movie that doesn't rip off H.R. Geiger. I just
So,
want to say that.
yeah,
I
I agree though. I agree. I think a lot of them just they always want to have like their cool creature, and it's like just make your movie, just do your thing.
Yeah.
Get
so
off that guy's dick.
one of the things I do love about the appearance of the aliens is they're really well done, and the CG in this movie holds up to 2023.
I
Like,
don't know if they pumped that up or whatever. Like maybe they went through and remastered it a bit, but
I don't think
Yeah,
they
God
did.
damn, does it hold up,
It's
man?
really good. Apparently, if you
Like fuck me.
they spent like a year just on the CG. Apparently,
I'm not surprised. This has some of the
Budget
best
says
CG.
it was 100 million
97?
too, which is
Oh
crazy.
shit, 100 million was the budget?
Yeah, back in '97 too, which is like wild.
That
Like,
is
there's so
that's
much money.
extreme. Do you know how much 100 million in 97 translates to 2023? Like an inflation
There's
calculator. If we
movies-
pull it up real quick, you guys talk. I'm gonna pull up an inflation
Like,
calculator.
Saving Private Ryan came out in 1998, and I think like that has some just in the first scene, it kind of has like incredible CG as well. That completely fucking holds up.
I think this movie, Starship Troopers, as once again, as almost kind of like comedic as the movie is or whatever, and you wouldn't expect, because I feel like the movie has such a light tone while also having like a serious plot. The tone is like super light. And anyway, the point is, it has better CG than movies that have come out in the last 10. Like there's movies that come out in the last 10 years that this movie kind of looks better than.
100%. Also,
You know,
100
I'll
million.
make it
Hold on. 100 million in 97 is worth basically double now. It's 190 million in
Yeah.
2023. So essentially,
Yeah.
the doll it's double. It's basically double. Like that's just
Like, I
actually
wasn't
crazy.
sure. Now that like we're chatting about it, like I'm all into it. I wasn't sure like if how much I could chat about the movie. Like, don't get me wrong, I like the movie, but I just wasn't sure like how much I could chat about it. And now that we're chatting about it, it's like there's a fuckload to talk about with this movie.
Oh
you know?
yeah, this movie has a lot. Like especially because we like to rant and go off topic and stuff like that. But I think
Yeah.
if we just actually talk about the things that the movie does tackle, which is like fascism or the totalitarianness of the government and how they don't want you to question
like it.
anything. Like basically the way this movie starts out, because we really haven't talked about like what it really is about technically, but there are these
Not a
young-
love triangle.
True, that too, but it has a love triangle element in it, which is really just so. It's not even. I won't even say it's secondary. It's like such a small part of the movie, in my
Hey,
opinion.
me and Bill were talking about that the other day. We're like, the love shit is like the fucking amount of love shit without it getting like tiresome. It is the exact amount.
Like it'll come
how
back
much it
and
needs to be.
it comes back into play every just like the hey, don't forget about this.
Right. And it's also that
it's like
cheesy
30 seconds. It's like 30
seconds. Yeah.
It's
not
that
like fucking
cheesy
15 minutes.
90s romance that you saw in all the 90s movies. You know how you just had to have that Sarah Michelle Gellar or like like all of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You always had to have like the Scream movies would have that as well. American Pie. Like you always had to have some kind of in 90s movies. You just had to have some kind of love interest thing going
romance
on.
And
you just had to have it. It was the requirement for success in the 90s.
They're just like, we don't know how we can make this movie without some fucking romance.
Right. Love sells, and that's
awful.
Basically just how it was. But this movie, they are essentially, the government is, sending a lot of propaganda to younger people who are graduating school to join the military. And in this world, and this is something that I think is interesting because Bill made a comment in our group chat while we were watching it. In this world, once you join the military and you do it for like 2 years, you become what's called a citizen. And citizenship gives you, so there's civilians, which are regular people who did not ever serve in the military. Those are civilians. And then citizens are people who have served their government, and they get these special privileges. Some of those privileges are like, you can own weapons. One of them, though, is so crazy. You can actually have children. Like, you're allowed to have children.
Oh, man.
Because you need a license to have children.
I want to touch on that. Like, yeah, you have to apply for a license to get children, to have children. But it's also like, if you're a civilian, doesn't mean you can't. It's
yes,
not like
exactly. It's not like you can't do it. It's
if you're a citizen, you're more likely to get the license.
Exactly.
But it's not like you're not like hard shut off. And also another thing too is like a lot of people see this like, oh, it's fascist. That they're so fascist. It's like they're not oppressing any part of the human race in any way to the extent where they're killing people or they're like, you can't live on this continent or you can't live here because you don't agree with us. They're still, the civilians are still treated as human beings. It's just if you're a citizen, you're just you have a step forward.
Yeah, if you're a citizen,
I did read into like that bit of lore.
There's a part of me that a lot of people think it's like they're Nazis. Like, yeah, sure, the uniforms are actually Nazi
the writer of the book that this is based off of blatantly was poking at Nazism and fascism and things like that. Like, so that those elements are there for us to pick up on. It's not to say that the government that's represented in this movie is actually like a Nazi government or a fascist government per se.
There's a lot of people that they'll glance over the movie or like not go into it. They'll be like, oh, they're Nazis. It's like,
right, because you see the uniform and you're like, oh, that's a Nazi uniform. Like, okay, but like back up a little bit.
There's a part of me that think the audiences of 1997 may have just been fucking idiots, because like if you like read it, it's like a lot of emphasizing the violence. It's like that's why you're watching it.
You cut off for a second.
I was saying I think that there's a part of
perfectly fine.
I think there's some people that like when they watch this shit like back in 1997, maybe they didn't fucking get it, because it's like,
they definitely didn't.
It's obviously like a satire. It had a fuck ton of negative
I watched
reviews.
another YouTube video that was saying, and it's in the first 2 minutes of it, which I actually kind of wanted to play for all of us just to listen to it. It's actually so good. But in the first 2 minutes of this one YouTube video, they say in 97, the Washington Post and every other major publication when Starship Troopers came out destroyed this movie in the reviews, and the critics were just like, this movie's terrible, and they just went in on it, basically not realizing that it's meant to be a parody, right? And the problem is when people critique parodies, they often blur the line between, it being a parody and the actual thing that's being parodied. Like, they don't realize that this wasn't meant to be taken serious. Like, look at Starship Troopers and tell me that this movie's not meant to be taken serious.
To me. It's
like
so
even
weird
the cover is like goofy.
That there's people that could think that. Like, there's a part, like the part in the there's multiple parts where like they look at the camera and wink and shit. Like,
yes, it's very campy.
It has such a silly
it's a fun movie. It's like you're like somebody that could criticize the violence. It's like, well, you obviously went to the wrong fucking movie. It's like if I went to like there's something about Mary and I'm like, oh, this kissing and romance. What is this? Well, like I obviously it's not the same. It's not my audience. Like they went to like there's points in the movie where they're fucking covered in like green goop and orange goop, and that's just like they look like they got slimed on Nickelodeon.
Yeah,
yeah. You know I also think like, just audiences in general though, like are dumb.
Like they'll see a movie.
Like, I don't think it's just 90s.
Realize like they're there's like it's just not like Citizen Kane. It's like, well, that's not the kind of movie it wants to be.
Right.
Like it's a fucking fun. It's a fun like summer movie. Like I think this movie, if like right now, if we went to the fucking movie theaters and saw whatever was, not counting like something that might be more specifically targeted like a superhero movie, but if we went and saw a summer blockbuster that was like a standalone movie, Starship Troopers would probably be a fuckload better because it would just do things better. Like it's just more fun, you know?
Yeah, I have a lot of fun with this movie even now. When we just watched it, I was engaged the entire time, even with like the random love story stuff. We made fun of people's appearance because it is the 90s, so people's hair is just always going to be funnier to us when we're now in the modern day. Like the one guy's hair is just sitting on top of his head. I can't stand it. He just looks ridiculous. He's basically the antagonist to the main character.
Come on, Guile.
No, that guy's also ridiculous, but at least he looks like a video game character. The antagonist hair, though, like the one guy he's basically vying for the main love interest, right?
Right. He has like Guts hair. From,
that's
Berserk.
Exactly. You actually linked us to that because I've never seen Berserk, but he does look.
Me neither, but
he does have that hair. And Berserk is an anime, so the hair looks fine in Berserk. But then when you say live action, it doesn't look good at all. It just looks fucking insane. He looks ridiculous,
dude.
So
there were so many 90s
I actually
movies.
didn't think it looked that bad.
There's so many 90s movies that have that, like the bad guy's hair is like that spiky wet hair. Like that spiky wet hair is just
it is
always the bad
just
guy's
liquid hair. It's like I thought hair was a solid until the 90s, and they made it liquid hair.
not a solid.
It's fucking wet hair.
Yeah, it's bad. It's something, but I don't know. I really like the propaganda commercials that they do. They're so funny to me. There's one where they have, because they actually recruit kids.
Oh man, I know.
They don't just recruit people who are like 18 or whatever. Some of the people they recruit look way younger than 18, and you see like actual children swearing
little kids
in
with guns.
Yeah, little kids.
He's like, you enjoying that gun there, whippersnapper? And they're like, yeah,
Are we sure we didn't just see that one thing where the kid walks out, like they're all saying, "I'm doing my part," and the kid steps out.
So
and says
that's one part.
That's clearly not that kid recruited.
No, but at the end of the movie, or not at the end, but near the end, when the new recruits come in, they're
children.
like children.
Yeah, they're blatantly not 18.
Okay, all right.
I think we got a defender, boys. We have a sympathizer here.
Who has actually seen today, like Marines, Army personnel, Air Force, how young they actually are? This was like a year or so ago. My dad is in the Navy League. He gets invited to ship christenings, and I was on it's a Marine assault ship. So it's like a landing vet ship, and we're on board, and I'm walking around, and I walk past some people. Oh, that's great. I walk past, and I'm like, I turn my head, and I'm like, oh, they're Marines. I'm a foot taller than them. And they look like children. It's wild.
Man.
You
got to get them when the brain's malleable.
The
brain bug. It's more malleable.
They were terrible. And I talked to them, like the one was 20 years old, the other one was 19, and I was just like, man, it's like a disassociation. Like right now, like we're all in our 30s, right, or like late 20s. We still think we're that size, we're that like appearance, but we're really not.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but that doesn't change the fact that there were actual children holding guns at the end of the movie. Like I'm not forgetting the fact that they blatantly had
guns today.
They had
no
fucking
difference.
Yes, there is a fucking difference. Our government doesn't send people who are under 18 to war. Like, let's not be ridiculous.
I get Bill's point. I get both your points. I kind of agree.
I also still think like just because you see in the movie, like it's not like there's nowhere it's implied that they're like 16.
Bill, they're fucking children. What are you doing?
They're holding
like they're
I need a screenshot. I need a screenshot.
They're kids.
I've already been working on it.
I need a screenshot.
Just so you all know, I've already been working on it.
Sorry, good.
Like there are children. They're just
that kid is like 7. Look, I found it.
We've got a buddy coming in. Look at this fella right here.
Yeah, they're fucking kids, bro.
Like, that's the kid from the recruitment video. That's the kid from the recruitment.
Stop.
Yes.
Bill's coping. He's fucking coping.
This is the kid at the end of the movie.
Not that one. I don't know where. I need the full screenshot.
Oh no, that's like him on the battlefield. That's like a battlefield kid.
Yeah, but I need the full screenshot.
Here, I'll show the back.
Yeah.
But
there's children fighting. I don't know what to tell you. We watched it. Like I fucking saw it with my 2 eyes.
Little League. That kid should be in Little League.
So real quick, for people that don't know, for people that don't see this, basically, toward the end of the movie, you guys have all seen Star. We're fucking spoilers.
Yeah,
Anyway,
we're not going in order. We can talk about whatever we want in any
a
order.
part of the movie, a place on Earth gets hit by a big fucking meteor, and like I don't know, 100 million people die or something. So they say some crazy number of people die.
Yeah,
it's
Argentina. It's been Buenos Aires. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, Buenos Aires. So fucking hundreds of thousands of people die, right? And then and then they also do another mission where a bunch of soldiers die. So anyway, they have to get new recruits for the war, and the recruits they get amongst a bunch of other people, some of the recruits look like literal children. And so we're looking at a screenshot of this kid he has like that little league.
He looks
haircut.
like Joffrey from Game of Thrones in season 1.
Little league brick.
You know those kids
brick.
are just little league bricks. Like he just has that haircut.
He fucking does. Oh, it's so good.
Pricky looking. Like you could tell, like he has like peach fuzz on his balls. Like he's not even really like.
No, stop. I'm not. I'm not letting you.
Like, you get that out of there. You get that out of there.
I'm editing that out. I'm editing that out. Edit that out. Editor, fucking edit that out. Edit that out.
Oh man,
we're taking that out.
But
no, okay. So yeah, obviously this movie has a lot of like. The propaganda commercials are hilarious. They have this one where the kids are stomping cockroaches and it says, "Do your part." Bill alluded to it a second ago. But I think that is one of the best ones because they're just like a group of children standing in a circle, literally. And the cockroaches look real. I don't think that they're fake. I don't think they're like CG.
I watched that scene. So I watched that scene back probably 7 fucking times. I think that there's fake cockroaches and real ones, and they're just avoiding the real ones.
Really?
Because I think I could be wrong. I don't know. I want to download the audio commentary. I want to listen to the audio commentary.
In 97, I don't know if in 97 they cared about. I don't think they care about cockroaches in 97.
There was this. So like, there's real quick though. Like, so in Hong Kong in the 90s, it was a free market, dude. You could do anything. Like, there's movies where like fucking I've seen where frogs getting cut up. I didn't see this on purpose. This was on accident, but they're called like Title III.
I wasn't thinking that, but now that you fucking brought attention to that specific...
So you could torture animals in Hong Kong movies, but I don't think
okay, well now I can't not think about...
I don't think you could do it. Well, now you want to see it, right? Like,
well,
now,
no, it's the fact that I wasn't thinking that you looked at it on purpose, but now that you specifically said that you didn't look at it on purpose, I'm wondering about that specific detail.
I didn't know. I had no idea. Somebody suggested me the movie. I watched it, and I was very.
You're saying you don't think in 97 we were allowed to kill cockroaches on camera?
I think
fuck it, they're cockroaches.
I think so too.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, nobody cares. Cockroaches.
But we all feel the same, I think.
I will say back then, like, there's this old show. It's a black and white show called Lancelot Link. It's about this monkey, and they would just like make this monkey do stuff on this show, and the monkeys would die, and they would just replace it with a new monkey. Like, they just didn't give a shit.
Oh shit!
Like, Nope. What was
that? Yeah, I was going to say, have you seen Nope yet, Kenny?
What'd you say?
Have you seen Nope?
Nope, I don't think so.
It literally sounded like he was describing it.
So maybe that's what the reference I didn't get from Nope. And Nope, there's this whole section. I don't want to spoil, but there's a section with a monkey.
Maybe it is.
And I didn't know. I felt like it was referential to something. But they were making this monkey.
Yeah, maybe it's what Kenny was saying. Yeah.
They were making this monkey perform for them, and basically one day the monkey doesn't want to perform anymore.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
You guys should watch it. Maybe talk about it.
So
that movie's fucking good.
We could do that this Sunday if you guys want. We could do Nope.
The actors in the show were actual monkeys, and then like the monkeys would eventually get hurt or die in the process, and they would just replace the monkey. They would just get a new monkey. Like, they didn't give a fuck. Like, they were all right, new monkey.
There was a show that like it was the end of that era sort of thing. It was like, well, I mean, it was way past the point, but there was a show called Luck that was on HBO and like mid 2000s, maybe like 2008, and it had like fucking like really famous actors in it and shit, like Dustin Hoffman or somebody. And it was about horse racing, and one of the horses died. Never had a season 2. They're like, no, we're shutting it down. Like, fuck this.
Wow, what the hell?
It was yeah. And
Cheyenne posted
2011 to 2012.
Cheyenne posted a screenshot on our group chat as we're talking about this, just talking about like the kids and the propaganda, and there's a one commercial where they're like getting people to sign up or whatever, and they have the troopers go up to the kids, and he's like, anybody want to hold this burrito? And like hands his fucking gun to like a child.
Burrito.
That's what he says. He says burrito.
I just
Morita.
posted a screenshot
Wait,
because I'm
is this
actually
Mo
watching
with
the
an
movie
M?
in the background.
The M, yeah. Maybe he mispronounced it because, like, there's a quick shot film, like this one shot it.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's Morita. And
Oh, I thought he
speaking
said-
of the Morita,
I thought he said real
yeah,
quick. I thought he
burrito.
said burrita as like a mispronunciation of Beretta.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's Morita. And believe it or not, all those guns were actual live fire weapons. They were all live.
Oh my God.
What?
Yeah.
Wait,
They were-
what?
they were-
Wait,
they were-
wait.
They were Ruger Mini 14s, and the shotgun
there like a
underneath
shell over it?
were Ichika M37 shotguns.
And all they did was put like a shell on it. Like,
Yeah, there's
make
like a
it
shell
look
on it. You
something
can actually,
different.
I'm pretty sure people make those shells, and you can actually get like a Mini 14 and put that shell on it if you wanted.
But
Oh
they
my
weren't
God.
loaded.
No,
they were
they're
just
they're
live.
Probably like the
they're
fake
live-
rounds or whatever.
No, I
Or
mean,
like
yeah, there's probably like
movie rounds,
there's
whatever.
smoke rounds. Yeah,
The
they're
same
probably
ones that
live fire.
what's that one famous actor that just killed somebody on set like recently last year?
Alec
What's his
Baldwin.
name?
Alec Baldwin.
Alec
Yeah,
Baldwin.
he fucking
Yeah.
straight killed someone with live
Popped
rounds.
somebody with a
I love the memes that came out, like
like
pictures of Alec Baldwin, and he had like the teardrop under his eye, like the
Oh
teardrop
shit!
tattoo.
I did not see that. The gangster tattoo that a lot of them
when you
don't
kill
actually.
somebody you're doing a long time, which he might do both.
Yeah, they got the tear filled in. That's wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's propaganda happening in this. There's a lot of children that they show holding weapons, grabbing bullets, stomping cockroaches and stuff, fighting over the gun. This is 20 minutes into the movie, by the way. And then like the actual soldiers are laughing at the kids as they fight over the weapons because the kids want to be, when you're younger, guns are cool. You're like, oh yeah, I want this gun. So they're all fighting over and
You know what
shit.
it reminded me of? The Cowboy Bebop episode Brain Scratch, where they're watching TVs about cults and shit. Like I could watch an hour and a half of just their TV and just fucking
and Cowboy Bebop.
Would you like to know more?
I could watch the whole fucking thing, dude.
I would actually
Like,
love watching propaganda
90
from
minutes.
Starship Troopers because
That's what I mean. Like 90 minutes of that. That would be the best movie ever. It'd be like some kind of spin-off. It would be like low budget, but it would just like, I don't know, man. It's fucking interesting. Like,
also, can we talk
watching
about
their
the
little
actors?
commercials.
So I didn't think about this at all. This is not my original idea, but I got this from a YouTube channel that was explaining some of the things about Starship Trooper and why the director chose the actors. So I did notice, even before we watched the movie, that the main character is conventionally attractive as hell. He's like a conventionally attractive white male. And
like it's almost cliched how, and it really plays well into the movie because he's such a like fucking handsome guy.
Yeah, he's like a little too good looking, which exactly. It's a little shocking. And the same thing with the love interest. She's like she's a bombshell.
Right.
She's an absolute bombshell. So I didn't think much of it besides the fact that like, oh, these were just the
I've
actors
enjoyed
design.
her when I was younger.
But the reason why they chose
Kenny, you too, Kenny?
I enjoyed the shit out of her.
I've enjoyed her. She was in
when
this
I was a
movie
young
called
lad.
Empire. Remember Empire, Kenny? The movie.
Hold on.
I still love that movie.
Cheyenne. When I'm talking, can you not talk over me? Just going forward, period.
My bad.
All right. I just want to get that out there just now because it's kind of annoying. Okay.
Right.
So the reason why they chose those actors and the reason why they're so attractive is actually on purpose. Is because, again, like this movie being a parody, it's hitting at a lot of the militaristic movies around that time and in the past from the 97 backwards, that they would have these really attractive people in these serious ass movies because they made it seem like, attractive people are in the military. So obviously you want to use like people who, if you see a hot girl, you're like, holy shit, like join the military. There's fucking Sarah Michelle Gellar. I'm using the name again because I can't think of all the other 90s.
I don't know why.
Girls.
Why is she your girl?
She's good looking. I don't know what to tell you. Like
the 90s lady.
She is one of the 90s ladies. What's the actual name of the actress though that played? I forgot her name already. The one in Starship Troopers.
Denise Richards.
Denise, she is fucking beautiful. Okay, like she is absolutely. I kept staring at her while we were watching the movie because to me, looking at her face, because back then I don't think they did plastic surgery the way they do it now. Like right now, everyone's face is like fucking fake. I kept staring at her face to see if it was real because it almost didn't look real. Like, am I alone in that?
No.
She has an angel-like quality.
Like
yes, like very over the top, just beautiful.
That sounded like such a dirty old man.
Oh, she's got
an angel-like quality.
She's got an angel-like quality on her face.
No, not
I wanna paint it cream colored.
Anyway, no, yeah, Denise Richards is fucking hot. Like, especially when she was younger and how she looks. Her face, though, like, I agree with you where her face is weird. Like, she has a face where I think it looks weird and part, like, it's part of what makes it look so attractive. I don't know how to describe it. She doesn't look like she has a normal face.
Yeah, she almost has like a mousy type face. Like, and it's kind of weird.
I'll say with the image you just posted, which no one can see, the young version looks great.
Yes.
Old version,
not so much.
Why did you get surgery?
She got plastic surgery. And
she did get
like
plastic surgery.
now.
Yeah, she does not look good.
Really bad.
I don't really see like plastic surgery type style.
She got cheekbones. She got jawline.
Bill's hitting it on the head because she got fillers for sure.
Yeah,
she definitely did.
Yeah, there's some fillers.
I just see old age. I just see old age. You know.
No, she got fillers.
Yeah, but what you're seeing is Hollywood old age. Maybe you're so used to seeing old Hollywood ladies that get all this plastic surgery, and men. The men do it too.
Yeah,
in Hollywood.
It's they all get
the curdled milk of age. Yeah.
Oh, I love this guy.
Yeah, she's untainted by Hollywood plastic surgery. She's a fucking bombshell.
Oh, look at Guile. Look at Young. So there's this one actor who we basically said that he just doesn't look real because Kenny say he doesn't look real. He said he doesn't like he has enough details in his face to be a real person. And he has hair like Guile. And I just posted a screenshot of him. I don't even know what role he really plays in the movie. Like, what would you guys say his role was in this movie?
He's just like, you know what he is? He's the he's like the guy that's when you first meet him, he's Yamcha. He's literally Yamcha. Okay. When you first meet him, he's a bad guy. Because when you first meet him, he's a douche, he's a bad guy, he's against the main character.
Cool.
But then he becomes like this plucky sidekick. You know what I mean? Like
out of nowhere.
He ends up becoming like the plucky homie and like has his back and everything. Like he goes from bad guy to like plucky sidekick.
Yeah, I forget that he starts off as a bit of an antagonist, and then out of nowhere, towards the like middle end of the movie, he's just like, "Oh man, when they break up with you like that, it really sucks when they rip your heart out right after giving you everything," or some shit he says, like some mushy shit. And I thought that he was trying to fuck the main character. I was like, "Oh man, he's trying to get," because he like sat down next to him after the guy's girlfriend just broke up with him, and he started rubbing the guy's back, and they were on a bed, and he was like, "Yeah, it sucks, man, when they rip your heart out like that." And I was just like, "Oh shit, this is how gay porn starts." Like I've seen this one. Like I've seen it.
It's the bond of brothers, man. He's just trying to bond with his brother, take care of him.
You know, if you see each other piss enough times, you see each other piss enough times.
You get desensitized. You're just like, oh, it's just a wang.
It's just a wang. Like it's a little mouth on it going
military wang.
Hurt, you know? It's a little mouth.
Well, you jump forward a little bit.
I'm gonna look up his name just so like the people at home. Oh, Jake Busey. Okay, Jake Busey. Really? I mean, I have the same last name, but okay. So look up Jake Busey so you can just see the most not real person ever. He looks like Guile and Boomhauer from King of the Hill.
How you spell the last name?
Busey.
Okay, I was not going to get that right.
His name's almost Jake Bussey.
It is Jake.
Why I hear? That's what I hear. That's what I hear.
It is Jake Bussey.
His name is just almost Jake Bussey.
Yeah. Has he been in anything else? He looks familiar, kind of. I don't know.
He looks like he would be fucking Owen Wilson's like cousin or something.
He was in The Predator, apparently.
Which I knew where you're going.
This story is writing itself. He was in The Predator, apparently.
Oh no!
And apparently his dad was in The Predator. It says Jake Bussey is following in his dad's footsteps by starring in The Predator.
We're just calling him that now. Jake Bussey.
Jake and Gary Bussey.
That's his name. I don't know what you.
He's in Stranger Things.
What? Where?
Really?
Who's Bruce in Stranger Things? It says he's Bruce. Who's Bruce?
Hold on, I'm looking up his Stranger Things role right now. Oh, he was like a scientist, it looks like, or something.
Oh no, he's one of the news guys.
Oh, okay.
I remember this character. He was like a douchey news guy, I think.
He looks awful with Stranger Things, by the way. I'm looking at him right now. He looks fucking awful in this. Just by the way, like absolutely awful.
Yeah.
It's so good though. I actually love the scenes he was in.
But anyway,
super douchey.
He's so ugly.
He's really, I was trying to avoid it, but he is just, he's unpleasant.
It's not
to look
bullying.
At.
It's not bullying if they're in Hollywood.
I don't think he's ugly. He just has such a strong and unique like face.
Yeah.
And like, you just see it and you're like, oh wow, like he's not from it's almost alien.
Yeah.
You know?
He's got like horse teeth. Yeah. He's got those horse teeth.
I appreciate how different he does not look Hollywood, and I appreciate that.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
He definitely doesn't fit in with the rest of the actors who are like, again, conventionally beautiful as hell. I just got to the scene in my movie that's playing in the background where they're all showering butt ass naked. So this is one of the reasons why I like this movie so much as a kid. I'm gonna be honest. Like this for me was amazing because I don't think I had discovered. I don't know if I discovered porn by 7. but let's just say I didn't. This to me, seeing all of these naked bodies just casually having a conversation, and it was men and women together, they're showering, and there's no like weirdness about it, which I think is really cool. Like, even as a kid, I thought that was kind of cool that they're not all being like, oh, the men have to be on one side and the women have to be on another side, because I grew up in like Catholic school where everything is basically segregated to the point where I went to an all boys school. There was an all girls school as a sister school, and so I'm used to separation of gender. So seeing like this scene at a young age, I was like, holy shit. Not only are these people together, but they also sleep together, not sexually, but like they actually bunk together in the same dormitories and stuff like that. They shower together, and
Pretty progressive in that way.
it was like, in a weird way, this movie was very progressive.
Were you going to say, Bill? Were you going to say something?
No, you said they already said it. You're good.
Yeah, it's like a very progressive movie.
Something I love about that scene is like the scene before Bussy gets a knife right through his fucking hand.
Yes.
And you see him in the shower rooms, and they're ready to fix everything. You broken bone, shot in the gut, just fucking anything. Just to put this glove on with like blue juice in it. And he's like taking a shower with the blue juice glove, and it's just shit like that. It's like,
it's called Bacta. Thank you, Bacta.
Is that really what it's called?
No, that's from Star Wars. Same thing. It's basically a blue juice that heals you.
Yeah, it's like they have like and then like one guy, he like tries to wrestle down the drill instructor, and he gets his arm broken, and then like next scene you just see him with like a fucking glove thing that like has this blue liquid. It's so fucking funny. They don't really address it at all. They just have the glove.
It's like
I thought that was
it's like a thawed out icy pack.
Yo, it is. It's like a future icy pack. I also think they had that fucking Ginyu Force Goku technology. They put them in like the little the little juice chamber.
They do have that.
But real quick, I want to say on the knife hand thing, I love how excessive that was. He was just like, why the fuck do we got to know how to fight hand to hand? Like, we just press a button and nuke them. And then he's like, put your hand on the wall, soldier. And he like knifes his hand. He's like, you can't press a button if you don't have a hand. It's like, relax. Like,
that part to me was so wild. And this is where it's definitely a parody, because that's just not, I would hope that that's not a real military thing, right? Like, the sense in me tells me that will not happen in actual basic training in the military. But he does. His sergeant fucking throws a knife through his hand after telling him to put his hand on the wall because he questioned why he even needed to learn how to fight with a knife. And that is like an extreme, but that's what this movie is kind of about. A lot of the things that the military tells you to do are just very extreme everything. It's like, listen to my orders, don't do this, don't do that. To the point where, to jump around a little bit, the main character at one point, one of his underlings is having a problem with his helmet while they're on a live mission. And he's having a problem with his helmet. So he's like, hey, I don't know what to do. My fucking helmet's fucking up. So can somebody help me? So the main character goes over to him. He's like, take your helmet off. And he takes his helmet off, and somebody accidentally shoots this guy and kills him right on the spot. Like, he takes his helmet off and dies basically instantly. And it's like a really big shock. And then the main character is punished for doing it. And the punishment is him being whipped. Now, it's interesting because he gets whipped by a black guy. That's one thing. So there's like layers to this, because he gets whipped, which is already like fucking wild. He gets publicly whipped, mind you. Like, everyone gathers around in this area, and they all kind of just look as he is tied up and gets lashes for getting this guy killed, which honestly, you got someone kind of killed in a way. I guess it's like not the worst, like you getting whipped or whatever.
It's so weird though, right? Because
it is. That's the thing.
Why the fuck were they practicing with live rounds?
I didn't get it either.
Like why would you guys be doing a practice drill with live fucking rounds?
Yeah, I misspoke when I said they were on a mission. They weren't really on a mission. They were practicing, like you said. And the guy took his helmet off and got fucking capped in the head. Like, his head just got exploded on by AK something.
My only comment on that is, it's like, would it have mattered if his helmet was
that's
on?
What I was thinking.
It would have. His thing was gone.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too as I watched it, because they show this movie. One of the things I love about it is that they do show all the gore. Like, every single time somebody gets killed or something, you do blatantly see how gory and fucked up it is. So they show this guy's head getting shot up with actual AK rounds or whatever they are in this world, and his head is open. Like the top of his head is open like a Pez dispenser, okay? And it's leaking out blood and guts and all that good stuff. But I kept thinking, like, well, the helmet, I don't know what technology they have, but it doesn't seem like it's much better than ours. The helmet wouldn't really do anything. Like, I'm with you, Bill. I don't think the helmet would have fucking mattered.
If it was today's standards of technology, if he was wearing like a modern like Marine U.S. Army helmet, the weapons they used in story lore wise were 7.62 by 51 NATO. At that range, if that bullet hit that helmet, he would have died because the helmet might have prevented the bullet from hitting him.
Ugh.
But the deformation the helmet would take, like a cave in from the
man.
helmet would
Yeah.
have crushed his skull in, and he would have died regardless.
Yeah.
I feel like we're talking about like spacey helmet though. It is like the spacey helmet buff.
It is
you know what
spacey
I mean?
helmet.
It's like
It does have a spacey helmet, but
like,
then
this is,
again,
like,
like
future
there's no like frontal face guard either,
Right.
and he did get shot directly like in the
Yeah.
face.
it's kind of
no
like
frontal
up,
face.
it's kind of like up in the forehead though. Like I think he would have lived.
like-
I think he would have lived.
It's like the Matrix Gundams. They're just open in the front.
Yes.
It's true. Yeah.
It just
But no, I mean the helmet's kind of low. It kind of goes a little low on the face. Like I think
I
he would've
just-
covers your
I
forehead.
just think it's fucked up that you're using live rounds to practice, and then so if someone dies because of me, I get fucking whipped like Glory. He was fucking out there like Denzel.
I swear the black guy had a sly smile, man. It's kinda like-
you swear that the black guy enjoyed it.
imagine-
You think
he
that
enjoyed it. He enjoyed it. I
Now,
think.
I think he enjoyed it too for obvious reasons, but I can't prove it. I don't think that there was actually a smile on his face when he was
Yeah,
with
no,
him.
I'm looking at
I
it
think
now.
I think there was.
Here, I got a screenshot. There's
Please
think,
tell me
um,
if there's a smile,
but
I'm done. I'm fucking
you can
done.
feel
I think
smile
this
energy.
movie-
You can feel
I think this-
smile energy.
This movie's very progressive. We have intergender bathrooms,
showers, yeah, bathroom showers and stuff.
and we have a black guy whipping a white guy. It's
Yeah.
like
It is
it's what
progressive.
people
though.
want it. It's what
And
people want it when
correct me
Obama.
if I'm
Like there's
wrong.
things. It's like almost like there's things in the world that matter more than others. Like progression is sort of like them just all being together. But like
I agree.
and then they're oppressive in other ways. It's like maybe like the military might be a
Yeah.
little oppressive, but it's like whatever our world's rules are don't apply to them because they're in fucking
So
They're in their policies
Omicron
and things.
92, whatever the fuck their world's called or whatever. I
agree
guess
with
it's
that.
Earth.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's just Earth. I don't think that they're in
It's
like some
just
special
Argentina.
weird place, right? I
Yeah.
think that they are on just Earth. I mean, for the sake of the movie or for the sake of this discussion, we could just say they are, even if they aren't technically. It looks like Earth for what it's worth.
It's Earth. It's
But
Earth.
like I love that, and correct me if I'm wrong because I'm trying to think in my head. I've been thinking about this for a minute since we've been talking. I don't think there's any real misogyny in this movie, is there? Like, do they bring up the fact that someone is a woman that they're and that they
I don't-
are lesser than because they are a woman?
No,
Not that I can remember. No.
I don't remember
think
any.
so.
look at it this way: she was a pilot of a spaceship.
Yeah.
The other women were like frontline soldiers,
Infantry.
and not rear echelon like most are
Yeah.
nowadays. They're not.
Right.
Captain, the main girl character, she was like the lead pilot on her ship. And then the captain of that ship was also a woman.
There you
Yes.
go.
And they, one of the girls walked up. She was kind of late to basic training, and the guy who was training everybody, he's obviously a really good fighter. When she walked up to him, he basically was like, "Show me what you got," kind of vibes. So she got into a fighting stance, and he fought her like she was a man. Like they had an actual fight. She got a good lick on him and everything, and then he obviously was like, "All right, bitch," and then he, he broke her.
Not
arm.
only that, another person I thought of the Sky Marshal that replaced the first one when he basically
Oh,
decided
yeah,
to do
yeah.
a full infantry assault on the planet and that failed.
Yes.
The Sky Marshal that replaced her was female.
That's right. So they actually replaced a top-ranking person with a woman.
Yeah.
And these
One
things
thing
are
I kind of like
Go ahead.
is like you have like the main character, his love interest, and then there's like that other guy, Neil Patrick Harris character. I don't know, but like you don't really see him much in the movie, but they
Yeah.
all go different paths. Like they're all together in like high
Oh,
school
yeah.
or whatever the fuck, and then they each branch off. One becomes like a foot soldier. One becomes kind of like a experiment. Like he kind of does like
A scientist,
experiments.
I think,
yeah, I just
right?
consider him a
Scientist,
scientist. Yeah.
But he's also like really high ranking because he kind of like has like this pool where he's bossing
He
people around. and shit,
randomly
and-
has telekinetic powers.
yeah, that as well.
seems
which
to be
they
a
don't really go
thing.
too much into that.
Yeah.
And then the girl becomes the pilot, so it's kind of cool that like they all go different routes.
But then they
and
all
kinda
have
meet
to
up towards the end.
Right. They all have to work together at the end of it because it's like we're fighting this war and we're getting better at killing the bugs because it's a joint effort. It's like the infantry went in and they brought home the smart bug. And then you have the scientist who studies the smart bug, and you have the pilots who obviously navigate to the worlds to drop everybody off. So it's like a joint effort. So they're showing how you got the Air Force, you got the Marines, you got the Navy, you got the National Guard, you got all these different branches that help out, and they all come together for national defense, as they call it. It's really good. I think that a lot of things about this movie are really well done, including like even though it's obviously parody, propaganda, all that stuff that we said before, it still just handles it really well. And it tells a pretty good story of a guy. He loses his family. He was ready to quit the military. He loses his family and he decides, you know what, fuck it, I want to come back into it. And at first they're like, you don't get to do that. Once you sign those papers, you're out, like you're excommunicated. But then they realize that he's a really good soldier. That's the thing. The main character, he's the ideal candidate to be the perfect soldier, because in the beginning they show his girlfriend or his love interest. She gets perfect scores in math, essentially. She's like super smart. And then he goes up and looks at his scores and he failed. He got like a 35 in his math test. So he's really not what you would consider an intellectual person. And the movie kind of is jabbing at people who join the military and some of them being, like kind of dumb. So they're like, okay, you got bad math scores, but when it comes to like how rash he is on the battlefield, he's like, yeah, like he's all into it. He's super into what do they call their group? It's like it's not rambunctious. The Roughnecks. Yes.
Oh, right.
And they call it like Radek's Roughnecks because the leader his name's Radek or something like that. I think
something
that's
like
that. Rorschach, yeah. And then when Rico, because his last name is Rico, when he becomes the leader of the Roughnecks, because he says like welcome to the Roughnecks, and another guy says Rico's Roughnecks.
Yep. Yeah, the main guy dies and he replaces him. The main sergeant guy who was the leader, he ends up dying in the movie, and they foreshadowed it super hard. But he ends up dying and Rico takes over. But you can kind of see that coming because Rico was the perfect soldier. There's multiple parts where they admire his work, although he did get that one guy killed. But his reasoning was amazing. Like the one line where they say, why did you tell him to remove his helmet during an active training round or whatever like that? And he said he was fucking up and I wanted to win. Mm-hmm. And that line, like him saying like I wanted to win, I low-key think that even though by the book they had to kind of expel him or whatever, or like not expel him, but they had to punish him.
Yeah.
By the book they had to punish him. I think that line is what saved his ass when he wanted to quit. And they were like, is this your signature? And he said, it is, sir. He said, doesn't look like it to me. And he rips up the paper when he tries to quit because he's such a good fucking soldier. Like he wanted to win. And ultimately that's what the military wants. They want to win against these bugs. Do you think
you kill bugs good?
Yeah, very bad. Do you guys think that they sent in the infantry in that first mission where they got fucking slaughtered? Do you think they sent them in as like guinea pigs a little bit? Like, do you think that there's something there?
It could have been, yeah. It could have been.
I think it's a little bit of like, okay, we'll put some guys there, see what happens.
I would say it's twofold. It's probably like high command, like not black ops, but like, like military intelligence being like, we need to know what they're capable of.
Right.
So just send in ground troops. Let's see what happens. And it's probably also military planning and like, higher ups not being overconfident with your technology. Russia. And, how they go about
the embarrassment of Russia.
That. Yeah. So it's like, we'll win. Just shove the infantry in there, just bugs, we'll stomp them out, and it'll be over. Yeah. And then, you get slaughtered.
Because there was probably times, though, where like there's probably times where like they know that there might not be the most success, but they're like, we got to show a united front. And just still put guys there. It's like they're all just.
There was also that mission later on where you find out at the end of the movie, Neil Patrick Harris's character like knew it was like a suicide mission. Like I don't remember the exact specifics, but like knew it was a trap. Like they get sent in, blah, blah, blah. And it gets revealed that like he knew it was a trap, but he was like, we needed to get whatever information. I don't remember the specific dialogue, but basically. It was,
if you don't mind me jumping in.
Go ahead. Yeah, because I'm just kind of rambling because I don't know.
When they went in for the distress call, right? You talking about that?
Yeah.
The distress call. And the military intelligence knew it was a trap, but they had to they're like, we knew, but we don't know.
Right.
So they sent them in, and then they found out like, yeah, it's true. Like there's a smart bug, and we need to find this smart bug.
So we could talk about that a little bit, actually. There was a big part of the movie, well, not a big part, but like they made a deal about the fact that the bugs are stupid and that there's no such thing as an intelligent bug. That was like a whole thing earlier on.
That one newscaster.
Can we get that one scientist guy in his face? Can we get that on screen, please?
They made Fraser a whole big deal. What?
Fully were like, he's a bug.
If we're talking about that guy, there's this one bug-eyed dude that I guess he was a scientist, and they show him in one of the propaganda commercial things or whatever. And he looks like he's an insect. And I said, that has to be by design. Like the director of this movie definitely said, I want this guy to play the role of saying that there's no such thing as a smart bug when he looks like a fucking bug himself. It's ridiculous. His eyes were really big, and they say that people with big eyes are like bug-eyed, right? Like that's a real thing in real life.
Yeah.
So this guy
For him, it might
has
be literal.
yeah, I think that was the goal, is that the director, because look at the other actors, he chose everybody who's attractive on purpose. Like that's a thing, that they're supposed to look so fucking good, to the point where it's like, why are they even in the military, right? Like why aren't they just models at this point? They could just be models and live a regular life, but they're, you know, choosing to do this. And that this scientist looks like a bug. Like he looks like a bug, and he's ranting about how there's no such thing as a smart bug. Come to find out, by the end of the movie, there actually is at least one bug that's super big. It's like this fat ass nasty looking maggot thing, and it is a smart bug that absorbs the brain, like it sucks the brains out of humans and probably other life forms too, but at least humans, and it learns from that, and it kind of can make real strategies that you wouldn't expect. When you look at these things, you would never expect that these things are capable of anything other than just killing and maybe protecting the hive, which is what every bug does in real life, right? Like they just kind of are programmed from birth, protect the queen or whatever the fuck, build on your little colony, and that's basically it. Like reproduce, you know, very basic instinctual things. But like this bug, the brain bug, set a trap for the humans to come rescue a distress team. And when they got there, they got fucking ruined. Like they got absolutely ambushed by the bugs. They were like, holy shit, there is such thing as a smart bug. So that's a big part of the movie.
They showed that too. Or like there's a part in the movie where I don't remember what they call it. Bill probably knows, but when they're flying and the blue shit's going in there and they're like, oh, that's just whatever light. And then the blue shit actually ended up being basically like fucking mortars that are shot out from the ass of these big ass bugs. They were like shooting these mortars up and destroyed a bunch of fucking bunch of spaceships and everything.
Bug guys, yeah.
And then the girl was like somebody made a mistake, but basically it's just like the smart bug fucking like played them and shit. Yeah, I don't remember what they were called.
Yeah, no, I like the fact that I didn't really catch that. The part about the blue shit being they thought it wasn't threatening.
Yeah, they didn't think
they thought it was going to be like light and sporadic, not like accurate.
Tanker bugs. They're called tanker bugs.
And like clustered shots and stuff like that to make sure they're going to hit something.
Oh, wow.
Like it's that thing like military intelligence didn't know what the threat was.
Right.
So let's send in the fleet. Let's find out let's see what the bugs are capable of.
Yeah,
and
and also
they're intelligent. Like they can absolutely dominate us.
I also think there's something to be said about underestimating a foreign species or a foreign, like I always try to compare this obviously to real life. So if we're going to invade a place or whatever, you underestimate the technology they have, you underestimate their forces, and you think that you could just go in gung-ho and win, and then you find out like, oh shit, these people actually have a better
Russia. Once again.
Literally Russia. Russia invading Ukraine. For people who don't know, there's an amazing video. I think Kenny's the one who told me about it. I watched it last year. There's an amazing half-hour video. It's like a little documentary type of thing, just talking about how fucking awful Russia botched the invasion of Ukraine. Like literally 30 minutes that explains it to you in very layman's terms too, because I'm not a military guy. I'm not like a fucking government and politics kind of guy. It's not my subject. But when you watch this 30-minute video, it doesn't matter like how much you like government and politics, it is so well explained that Russia just absolutely fucked this up. And it makes it very clear that they stand no fucking chance against the US. Like not even close. Like
there's not a universe where like that. There's not a universe where Russia beats us in a war. Like it just doesn't happen. The scariest thing they could do is shoot off nukes, which they still wouldn't win the war, but they'd kill a lot of people.
Yes.
Yeah, I was basically saying that like for like the past like 75 years, it's been like oh, it's like the great superpower Russia, and it's like it's not really like that anymore. Like it's
to invade a country that is bordering
right
them,
next to them. Yeah.
Like literally, that's like us invading Canada and failing at it. Right? Like because Canada's also the same as Ukraine in a lot of ways. Like they're a fucking pacifist country.
Canada's got some wildlife up there. Pretty big wildlife.
Like a battle moose.
Okay.
They got some battle mooses. They got some battle bears. Got some battle beavers. It's wild up there.
Canada's not known for their military at all.
I would love if there's just like this big Canadian guy who's just like all upper body, like a One Piece character.
Yeah.
He's just fucking
Kuma.
roided to the gills, and he's like riding a moose, and he has like an axe, and he's like drenched in syrup.
Why? Okay, you had me in the first half, and then you just said he's drenched in syrup. a fucking maple. Like he's just drenched in absolute maple for no reason. You were doing so good. Oh my god.
Dude,
Yeah.
those are the Canadian infantry right there, man.
Good old Canadian infantry. But yeah, what do you think about the fact that his parents, the main character Rico, his parents really, or was it his dad? He really did not want him to join the military. He was like super anti that. Yeah, he was like, you could just.
They were rich. They were rich. He was just like, his dad was basically just like, what are you doing? You're rich. Like, live, like, go on this fucking predetermined life that we already have laid out for you. Like, I already did all the work to make your life easy. Why are you trying to make your life hard?
But then he said he was going to pay for him to go to Harvard, right?
He did say that.
Yeah.
And another thing too, I've noticed in the movie is when they're in his house arguing with his parents, like, oh, we have a present or a surprise for you. It's gonna cheer you up. And they're like, oh, you wanted to see the world, right? Like, well, we're gonna go on the outer rim to this like very nice like beach planet.
Yeah.
And then later in the movie, one of the soldiers says, like I forget how it comes up, but he mentions that planet, like that place, because I always wanted to go there, and the guy's like, it doesn't exist anymore.
Dude,
Oh, shit.
something very similar happens.
I didn't pick that up.
Yeah.
Something very similar happens with Harvard. He was basically going to get a free ride to Harvard. It was like he could easily go to Harvard, even though as we already know, he wasn't a great student, but he was like basically had a guaranteed in the Harvard because of his dad. When they're in the shower where they're all naked and they're asking like, why are you in the military? Why? There's one guy in there that says like, basically I want to get into Harvard, but I can't. And if you do 2 years, if you become a citizen, they pay your way into Harvard,
which is true of real life.
So yeah, basically like they show multiple characters that like want what he could have just had, because how well off he was, and then he went and kind of went picked the hard road for his life.
It also shows, going back to the earlier in our convo, with that like just because you're a civilian doesn't mean you're like discriminated against. Like they're a wealthy family, and I'm sure there's other wealthy civilians out there.
Yeah.
Also, something that's kind of, I guess, interesting. It plays into like the almost dark comedy aspect of this movie. It's where this movie is kind of funny because in some ways the plot is very serious, but then it's wrapped in all the silliness.
Yeah.
But there's like, if he did stay home and take the easy way out of his life,
he'd be dead.
He would have just died. He would have just gotten nuked, and like his whole family's dead. And it happened in such a comical way, like specifically like where his family lived, they all died. Yes.
It was a little pointed that when they showed a map of what got knocked, literally they said Buenos Aires is knocked off the face of the planet. Like that, like specifically where you live, where your parents, he said my whole family lives there. And his whole family.
Remember the girl was like, Rico, it's us.
It's our home.
Like something like that.
Like they could have driven it home a little more if the announcer was like, Buenos Aires wiped off the map. That means you, son.
Yeah, like that was the only way it could have been more blatant. That like, yes, the main character's home specifically South Philadelphia, where you live, is the part of the earth that got literally annihilated. We want you to know that where Pat's and Geno's is no longer exists. That entire neighborhood is gone. The Italian neighborhood in Philadelphia is no more. Like that's the only way it could be more blatant.
You want a rubble cheesesteak, son? Well, here's your cheesesteak.
So we were talking about he could have took the easy way out or whatever and just lived the rich life, even though he would have died in hindsight. But like that is a interesting thing because people always want what they don't have. So it's often that people who are poor, right, we crave riches and the idea of being well off financially and just having the easy life where all you do is basically shop and spend daddy's money, swipe daddy's credit card. And then people who are rich often, for some strange reason, want the life of like a fake gangster, or they want to do something that's like shows that they are hard and have street cred, or you know what I mean? Like there's always that suburban kid who doesn't know anything about the struggle, but they for some reason love hanging around like the bad kids, the drug dealers, and like getting involved in some what do you want to say, Kenny?
I was just gonna comment on that part. Did you ever see the episode of the Chappelle Show where they swap families, and like the white kid goes to the black family and the black kid goes to the white family, and so there's like a white kid that's listening to like 50 Cent or whatever, and Dave Chappelle's like the dad. He's like this old man, and basically he's just like rapping and stuff. He's like, "Oh, I'm from the streets." It's like this little white kid. He also has like a little league prick haircut. Yeah, and he's just like, yeah, and then he's like, get your ass in the car. And he brings him in the car, and he drives him to the hood, and like lets him out, and like he's in the middle of like a fucking crack dealing neighborhood, and he's just like, tell Tyrone he owes me $20, and just like drives away. Like
literally puts him in the fucking wire. It's just like, all right, well, here you go, enjoy. Yeah, I think that is always an interesting thing that somehow this movie hit on that too. Like that shower scene is more than just them being naked, even though that's all I've really paid attention to. Okay. So another part in the shower that I thought was amazing, and we talked about it very briefly, and I think we kind of got a little off topic, but the fact that the one girl said in passing that you get a license to have children easier because you are a citizen, I think is a really big deal. And I remember, again, Bill brought this up in the group chat. He was like, I think that's how it should be. So how do we feel about that? The fact that in this world, you need...
that. I didn't see Bill say that.
Yeah, Bill said...
Well, no, Fraser said it first.
Oh, did I?
You said, I agree. And I was like, are you feeling like a citizen yet?
Yeah, I mean,
like that.
I'm not opposed to the idea of people needing to have a license to have children. I'm gonna be honest. I just think that it's unfortunate for people to bring children into this world. I'm talking about real life. Bring children into this world without the ability to really care for them. Like, I'm just gonna leave it at, I'm gonna put it that simple. I don't want to get too like in depth on my whole thoughts of it. But like, I just see too many kids being raised in environments or raised without resources that I think are necessary to raise a kid. Like, that's debatable too, I know. But I just feel like, you know, certain people just having children, it seems wrong. I even have some family members, I'm not going to name names, but they have literally over 7 kids and they're on welfare, and like it's just sad. Like, I look at these, they're my cousins, right? These are my cousins' children. You know, all of these children that they have they grew up in poverty and they're all welfare babies, and like that this person doesn't work at all. Like, literally, I don't think they've ever worked, at least not in my life. I don't remember ever seeing this person have a job. And these kids are growing up, and now they're in their teenage years now, so they're doing bad things like having children at 14 and all kinds of shit. And it's just like, this is the cycle. Like, this shit, to me, like, this is my experience I'm speaking from. Everyone has their own or whatever, but like, from my experience, just having children in these conditions is not ideal. And I would not be opposed to the idea of you having some requirements in order to actually reproduce.
So I kind of agree. I do think it, like, in a perfect world, somehow there could be a way to create some kind of requirement for it. The only problem is that, like, there's no way in the world we live in, there's no way to implement that in a humane way, because there's going to be some level of either perceived or actual discrimination.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, that's the problem.
There's just no way to do it in a humane way, unfortunately.
And then not only that, another thing too, it's like, well, what if someone has an illegal child? What happens then? Adopt, like an adoption thing, or like they just shoot it?
Oh, shit. What did China do? What did China do when communism
made your life miserable?
You just got to bury your second born kid.
I do want, like, not even joking. I don't know what China doesn't have these laws anymore.
I think that
they got rid of it.
I think it was like,
oh really?
Your
that was
second
the law?
kid. Yeah, your second kid. You just killed it. Like, right?
No, you definitely didn't. But like, people would give away their kids. Like, they'd put, like, if they had like I think
there was 100%. I want to just look it up.
Is the girl, I think.
It's not like we don't have
girls
Google
in a basket, and like they might leave the girl in a basket in a fucking local village or something.
So real quick,
they definitely didn't kill anybody like that, as far as I know.
Well, no, okay, real quick. I'm gonna look it up. Hold on. I'm gonna look it up.
What you're not about to say is that they did not kill. That no one died.
So listen,
I don't think it happened.
The reason why
I'm sure of it. That some little 1 month
Cheyenne, come on,
buried alive.
Males were, as you said, the female was the less desirable thing, because in that culture, and not even just in that culture, in many cultures across the world, unfortunately, males hold more power. So, like, for example, when you get married, typically the woman takes the male's name, right? You get married into that family, not the other way around. So males were the desirable firstborn, right? And in general, if your firstborn child wasn't male, there was some law against having 2 children. I don't know the exact law. We can look it up right now. Google exists. But the point is, they did kill kids or give them away or send them in a basket like Moses, because especially if your firstborn was a girl, because it was undesirable to have a girl, because you had a lesser chance of having a higher standing later on in life than if you had a boy.
Yeah, I think the family may have killed kids, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
the government.
I thought you meant the government. That's why.
No,
I was
no,
like,
the
yeah, I don't think that
families.
happened.
The families.
Yeah.
killed
Oh, I'm
kids.
sure they did. They
yeah,
okay.
dumpster. You know, fuck
So
'em.
I'm reading some stuff right
Yeah.
here. I got something up. I just typed in what happened in China if you had more than one child. It says in 1983, mandatory sterilization occurred after the birth of a second or third child. As the restrictions tightened a few years later, if a woman gave birth to 2 children, legally she had to be sterilized. Alternatively, in some cases, her husband could be sterilized in her place.
Jesus.
So sterilization became mandatory if you had more than one kid, just flat out. So basically, that's a huge deterrent. So instead of blatantly shooting the kid or whatever, they would make it an incentive to not have more than one kid, because who the fuck wants to be sterilized?
Yeah, and what that caused though, that caused kids to be killed
100%.
by their families, because
100%.
if your firstborn was a female, you would kill, like, a lot of times if firstborn was a female, they would kill them, because
they didn't want.
If you had a girl, you have a less chance of that person having a higher standing as they grow up in life. So because there's a limit to how many kids you can have before being sterilized, they would kill their firstborn if it was a female. Obviously not everybody, but yeah, that happened.
In January 2016, this ended. So this is recent. You know, it's 7 years ago that this ended, but China officially ended its 1-child policy in January 2016 in favor of a 2-child policy before it introduced a 3-child policy in May of 2021. So literally 2 years ago, from when this podcast is being recorded, 2 years ago, you were allowed to now have 3 children in China. And that is very crazy to think that, you know, they were restricting people from having multiple children, but then at the same time, like, I fucking get it. I see people walking around now with all these damn kids, and they don't have the ability to take care of them. They don't even care to take care of them either. That's the other thing. It's like one, you can't take care of the kids. The other thing is that you don't even give a fuck. Like, you're just having children and you literally don't give a fuck. And that's the most egregious thing to me. And so, you know, China didn't do it for all the right reasons, obviously, but there's something to be said about this. Like, I would love to do more research on this, because right now I'm just doing a quick Google search. So forgive me if I'm like ignorant about all of the effects of what this did to their society. Go ahead, Kenny.
I'm assuming one of the primary reasons is just how overpopulated they are. Like, they have the most dense population, like, on the fucking planet. So, like, someday, I get it. Like, at some point, you got to be like, there's not enough fucking land for all these people.
Yeah. So this is going to what Kenny said. I'm still reading this article. You were fined if you had, you know, more than one kid or whatever like that. And it says, let me see. Hold on. So civil servants and employees of government affiliated organizations, including universities, risked losing their jobs if they were found to have more than one kid. Then it says if parents did not pay a fine, second children could not be registered in the national household system, meaning they did not exist legally and so would not have access to social services like healthcare and education. So your kid couldn't even fucking go to school if you had more than one. And then it says, as late as in 2013, filmmaker Zhang Yimou and his wife Chen Ting were fined 7.48 million yen, or not yen, yuan, I guess, for having 3 children. So they got fined. I don't know what millions of won equals in American dollars, but I know it's a lot. It's a fucking lot. But they got
$1 million.
I don't know. I honestly don't.
$33,000.
But they got fined in 2013 for having 3 children. And then they said that the policy ultimately led, and this is what Kenny was saying, the policy ultimately led to sex-selective abortions or infanticide, which is just killing an infant, infanticide targeting girls because of centuries-old social preference for boys. So it's literally what you said in terms of, obviously, when you have society like this, you're going to get people who kill their children because they're born female, or just kill them because the second child can't even be registered as a citizen, so they can't go to school. They don't get, imagine not getting healthcare. Like, you take this second child to the hospital and they're like, oh, what's the social security number or whatever of this kid? You know, like, what's their information? And
they just don't have one. And
you're just like, oh, they actually don't have it. And they're like, oh, we can't help you. Go, bye. Like, literally, see you. This kid's fucking dying. We don't care. You deal with it. But since you want to have 2. So that is harsh. Like, I'm not for, you know, stuff like that. Like, that is a bit harsh. But again, the idea of having a license to have children, that's not, to me, I'm not completely opposed to that at my big age. Like, I think that is something that we could revisit one day. Obviously, there's no way to fucking do it without prejudice, and that is an issue that this country has for sure. Just natural prejudices and bullshit like that. It's so unfortunate, because in a perfect world, you know, we could be a better society. We could have licenses to have children and shit like that. But unfortunately,
we could be the Federation. You're right.
We could
what
be
do
the
you guys?
Federation. We could shower together.
I don't know. Bill and Cheyenne, did you guys say whether or not you'd be for or against the license for babies?
I'd be
Uh,
for it. I'd be
I-
for it. If not
I think
right, of
if
course.
you
but
have to know who
can't.
the first president is. Like if you don't know who like the vice president is in any given term, then like you can't have kids. Like if you don't know like who's the vice president, like I don't know. Well,
So
okay,
no
you don't
one.
get to have a kid.
So
then.
literally no one can have kids because let me tell you right now. Let me
Do you
tell
know
you
who the
right
vice
now.
president is?
Kamala Harris right now, but I only know that because I'm
Yeah.
living with this vice president, right? But
Right,
I
which
couldn't.
is what it should be. Like,
Okay,
if
okay.
it's
You're
a
saying
whole-
okay.
All
All
yeah,
right.
like vice president. Like if we're talking about like 2 or 3 vice presidents, it's like, who gives a shit, you know?
Okay,
Who was Trump's vice president?
Mike Pence.
Not
Yep.
you.
Oh,
And then Joe
you.
Biden was vice president before that, so Barack Obama.
Yep.
And then who was the vice president for George W. Bush? I actually don't know. I'm being honest.
I'm not sure.
I couldn't
either.
vote though. So
either.
here's the thing: I couldn't vote when George W. Bush was president
Same.
anyway. So like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessary for me to really know because by the time I'm able to have children, Barack is president, and then I do know the vice president at that point because I'm old enough to vote and voting matters to all that stuff, right? Like all
Yeah.
that, you get into all of that.
I know it wasn't Dick Cheney, but it's just funny because during George W. Bush's president,
It was Dick Cheney.
wait, no, I think Dick wasn't Dick Cheney
No,
like
it was Dick
Secretary
Cheney.
of
You're right.
Defense?
No, it was Dick Cheney.
Oh, okay, then I guess it was Dick Cheney. I was
Yeah.
going to say I didn't think it was. I thought Dick Cheney
I
had
remember.
another position, but the
Mm-mm.
point I was going to make was during George W. Bush's presidency, Dick Cheney at that time was like justice. Like everybody knew who he was as well. I guess he was the vice president. I thought he wasn't. I thought he was like Secretary of like Defense.
I'm
it
fact
was
checked.
like-
I'm fact checking this. Okay, it is true. So you were. I just had because the way you sounded so skeptical, Kenny, made me think that Cheyenne might not be correct. Nothing against you, Cheyenne. I was just nervous.
No, I
No,
just
it's all good. I mean, but the second he said Dick
just didn't
Cheney, I was like,
remember.
oh yeah, no, that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
like
remember
if,
he was
if- like,
important,
if you ask
but-
somebody like who was the first president, and they say like Benjamin Franklin, like you get like a big red stamp, just can't have kids.
yeah, on your
Yeah,
on your like okay, you know who shouldn't have kids? That girl that got Drake tattooed on her forehead.
yeah,
that should be
there's
the
a-
anti-license. Like when you have
Yeah.
you just get Drake tattooed on your forehead, that's you're not allowed to have kids.
So I'm just gonna, for the sake of we're doing a podcast, I guess I'm just gonna read off the vice presidents going backwards. So starting from
Wait,
where
all
Al Gore being Bill Clinton's, right?
you are correct.
Yeah, baby. Yeah,
So I'm gonna read them going. So Kamala
yeah.
Harris is current. Mike Pence was before that. Joe Biden, Dick Cheney, Al Gore, Dan Quayle for
Quayle?
George
Oh, never mind.
H.W. Bush, I guess. And then George Bush, the senior, was actually vice president to Ronald Reagan. Walter Mondale, Nelson Rockefeller, Gerald Ford. That's a good one. And then it just goes like too far back. Some of these I just don't. But yeah, I've heard of obviously Gerald Ford and I've heard of Rockefeller, but Walter Mondale, no clue. Like I could not tell you. Jimmy Carter was the president at the time. I could not tell you anything about this guy. I have no idea what Walter Mondale stood for.
Like he might be made up for all you know.
I mean, he literally. This is
Could be.
Wikipedia. I'm on Wikipedia right now, so this could literally be made up. Like you're not.
What are some of the like for you guys? Like, what are some of the questions? Like another one. Like, how many states are there?
how many
There's
states for
52
sure?
states.
Because we
Right.
know.
I have a story.
Damn.
I have a story.
Oh,
That's it.
High school classroom.
oh, this is going to be bad. Oh, this is going
The
to be bad.
teacher said because it was I'm not sure what the class was for, something like a history, but it was about like how do immigrants get U.S. citizenship? What's the test? And the teacher was like, ask the class, how many states are there? And like the teacher was like, take your time, don't answer right
What
away.
was the question? Sorry,
Think about it.
How many
states are
states?
there?
How many
How-
states are in the United
A
States
very
of America?
basic question. It's on our flag. Go ahead.
And my head might 50, right? My brain 50.
Yep.
There were more than half the class that thought 48, 52, and 51.
Yeah,
Oh my
dude,
God,
The
dude.
51
than
and
half.
52 thing is so fucking. First of all, there's an awesome YouTube video, a World Star Hip Hop video, where a girl says 47.
That's what I was
and she
about to
does, like,
say.
algebra. She does like algebra to get there. She says like 13 colonies, 50 states, but 47. like I don't know how.
man.
It's
Like
great.
but it's wild. But what Bill is saying is so true. And I don't know when. I think this is what I think truly happened with that. Because it is a very popular thing. I think if you go out on the street and ask 100 people, like how many states there are, you will get a statistical relevant amount of people that say 51 or 52. And I guess maybe also 40.
I think you're
48.
100% right. I think that for sure, if you asked, a sample size of 1,000 humans right now, random humans, you don't judge them by the way they look or whatever their professions. You just take 1,000 random people. You are going to get a relevant number of them who do not know that the answer is just fucking 50 for sure.
Yeah.
And that should disqualify you to get back to the point.
Yeah. like I've seen a video. There's a video online I saw a couple months back where it was like a guy like how many states are there? How many dimes are in a dollar?
Right, like basic as these are not trick questions. We're not trying to
They're
like
not trick questions.
No.
How many minutes in an hour? How many Kardashian sisters are there? Khloe, Kendall, just immediate. Just
Oh wait, so he
Kardashian.
got those other questions wrong, but he knew all
No,
the
the girl.
Kardashians
The girl.
or this girl, whoever it was.
She didn't know like 12 dimes in a dollar.
Oh boy.
Just shit like she didn't know like these basic fucking things that you need to know to be considered a fucking person.
Like how many minutes are in an hour? That's
how many minutes are
pain.
in an hour? Just shit like that. Just very.
And then
if you
like,
don't know these, you need to go back to school. You
I mean,
just
she
have
just
to go
knows
back.
all the
13th grade
Kardashians.
for you. 13th grade.
like we're not trying to trick you. There's that.
No. You say go back to school. It's not go back to school. You go to a
Yeah.
re-education camp.
Yeah, just something. Yeah, like if you don't
So,
know these
Bill,
fucking
this is
basic
where-
things.
This is where you start to lose me because when you use the word camp,
You gotta-
when you
I'm
use
with Bill. I double
when you
down on
use the word camp, the camp is a
They need
strong
to
word.
concentrate at these camps. They need concentration.
okay.
They need
Okay.
silence.
listen, all right.
They need to
Concentrating.
focus. They need to
See?
focus.
See,
have to learn.
editor, take that out.
No
Concentration.
interruption from the outside.
It's
Just
so they
take
can
that
help their
concentration.
concentration.
Take that
right.
out.
That is bad.
Edit
Anyway,
Don't take
Bill-
it out.
Bill has shown us, our big boisterous Bill, he's for the Federation.
Yeah,
All right.
it's funny though because like when you use the word camp,
What Bill said they go back there too. I'm for the Federation.
I
as
just
well.
don't think the people going to Bill's camp are going to come back. That's all I'm going to say. I just don't. I just think.
They're gonna come back.
I
smart
just-
beef.
They're gonna
I just-
come
yeah,
back.
okay.
They're coming back.
I just
They're
think
not
that
going
they're
anywhere.
not. I don't think that the
Like,
people
they're
going to
coming
Bill's camp are like this re-education camp. I don't think they're coming back.
No, they're gonna come back. And they're gonna go home to their house, and they're gonna take their little shrine to Kim Kardashian and just put it in the trash.
I hope
Oh,
so.
man.
I hope
The first
so.
thing they hear when they're in there, like,
Would you like to know more?
they teach you. They teach
I
you
love that,
how
by
to
the way,
learn.
Cheyenne.
Would
I
you
fucking
like to
love
know
that.
more? Do you want to know how many dimes are in a dollar?
How are you,
Yeah, I
how are
wanna
you
know.
doing? Are you just
No.
playing a YouTube video? Is that a YouTube video you're
No,
doing?
he's
Efren?
got a
Sorry.
soundboard.
I have like a little soundboard thing. Yeah.
Oh man, I need to. Cheyenne,
soundboard.
I'm going to actually ask you, like at some point, can you just show me how to set one of those up? Because I genuinely,
sure.
I genuinely
Yeah, I
want
think
that.
it costs money to get a real
Yeah,
one, but
for the one that I have, it costs like $5, but that's it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean,
And I
it's
just edit
working.
the sound clips myself. Yeah, it's
yeah,
great,
it's-
right?
it's dope.
Yeah, I don't need to do a lot.
And I have
Oh.
this one real quick. I have. Oh wait, no, it doesn't work. Okay.
Oh.
normal.
I thought that was
well,
going to be
maybe
the
I should buy a more expensive
It's gonna
one
be
then,
one of the
since
classics.
the $5
And,
one just gave out on you right there.
No, I fucked it up. That's
Okay,
fine.
all
I was
right.
gonna
Would you like to know more? Can you get one more?
All right, here we go, guys.
Would you like to know more?
I love it.
Would you
Yeah,
like to
I
know
need
more?
that. I need
But
that real bad.
we definitely have a bad history with camps. There's like, because you say re-education camps. I think we already have like, isn't that what they call the gay camps? Where they try to like make you not gay anymore?
I think
they
the
call those
official
re-education
name
camps?
for them is re-gayification camps.
I
That's
ain't
the-
gay no more.
I like
I'm not
women's.
gay no more. I don't like women. Yeah, no. What do they call those though? I don't remember what they call those.
I don't-
where
I think
try to
they do
change your
call them-
orientation.
I don't know if
There's like a word
they're
for
always
it.
called that, but I think I have
yeah,
heard them called re-education camps where
I
they
thought you guys were
where
meaning.
they literally no
Conversion therapy.
conversion. Yeah. You know those camps where they literally send like
A bunch
some-
of gay kids
some
to a
Catholic
camp.
family will
Why would
send
that
like
work?
their gay son or daughter to this camp, and like the point of the camp is to like make them straight, and they do a lot of fucked up shit there.
But how
They've
bad
done
of
like
an idea-
they've done like electroshock therapy on kids to like try to make them not
So
gay.
apparently this is a China thing. If you type in re-education camp on Google, you're going to get a lot of China stuff. And it was a big deal in China. And it's not for homosexuality or anything like that. It's more just like super hardcore militaristic schools. But they say that this is no school. The first fucking sentence is, this was no school. It was a re-education camp with military rules and a clear desire to break you.
Damn.
So
But how bad of an idea is it to send a bunch of gay kids to the same camp in hopes that they're going to be cured of gayness? Like,
Yeah, I guess it doesn't really make
there's
sense,
gonna Be
right?
a bunch of gay shit going on. You know?
I
There's
mean, yeah.
What do you
There's a
think happens
comedian.
when you tell the horny people to horny jail? What do you think's gonna
yeah,
happen?
yeah, like, exactly.
There's a
people
comedian
to
that
find Joe.
talks about that. I don't remember his name, but he's a gay comedian, and he was like he's got
I
sent to
love
a
it.
conversion camp, and he said it was the best time of his life.
Yeah.
He was like they said he was like me and a bunch of other gay kids that were like in the closet. Now we're just around nothing but gay kids, and all the fucking counselors are people that were used to be kids that grew up, but they're still fucking gay. So like we're fucking the counselors and shit.
Yeah, I
Like,
was about to say, I
Jesus.
imagine the adults are just corrupt or with the shits, and you know how things go down when kids are involved and they're all grouped together and shit like that. You just know it's bad.
It's
I
bad.
remember I went to camp. I'm not telling the story. Well, like it's a true story, but I went to camp and
shit.
for some reason everybody was getting changed in the same room. I was like, what the fuck's going on? There's like a
Editor, get ready.
40-year-old camp counselor getting naked in front of me. And
What?
that's
Wait,
all it
you
was.
mean
They
like
just
the
got
adults were
changed.
doing it
The
too?
adults and the kids, and I was just like,
Yeah,
can I
that
not
just
do
shouldn't be a
this?
thing.
Can I get
That
my
just
own
should not
Yeah,
be a thing.
I remember
that happened at the
watching.
YMCA.
It's like a 45-year-old Asian man just getting changed in front of me, and I'm like fucking 10, and I'm just like, can you not show me your Asian balls?
When I was a
They're Asian
kid,
balls. I don't care that they're Asian balls. I just
You
this
just don't
didn't
want to see
happen to
balls,
me.
period.
Camp.
yeah.
When I was a kid, I went to the YMCA a lot, and you go into like the locker room, which has a shower and everything. And I multiple times at 10 years old saw old man balls. Like, did you see old men walking
Oh,
around?
I see that now. I
completely
literally
naked?
at least twice a year when I go to Planet Fitness downtown, I walk into the gym and I walk into the locker room and there's a older man who is stark naked. And it's not the same guy ever. It's a different person every time, but he is booty hole naked and just completely not even in a rush to get dressed. I noticed like they always
He's
seem
just
to
taking
be
his time. Just taking his time.
they're never in a rush. They're never like, oh shit, my bad. Like, you know, they don't even try. They don't even attempt to cover up. Which,
There's no modesty.
there's nothing about it that makes them. And I'm always thinking to myself, maybe this is a military person because I know in the military you shit together, you piss together, you shower together. Like they make it normal for nudity is normal in the military. That's like one of the things that I've even read like Ernest Hemingway novels and stuff, and they talk about that type of thing, which is is based on reality. They talk about how that's one of the things in the military. Like nudity is not supposed to be some weird thing. We're humans. We all got the same shit basically, but that doesn't make it okay in normal society, regular life, where I go into the gym and I'm about to just put my bag in the locker room and a fucking 68-year-old man is completely stark naked and he's
no
just
towel, just kind of lounging naked.
And then they sit down on the benches and they don't sit down on a towel either. They fucking sit. And it always makes me think like, okay, so now I just don't ever put your bag down on the sitting area in a gym locker room. Just don't like, I know how you like to sit your bag. Yeah. You like to sit your bag down while you open the locker or whatever. Don't do that. Just don't.
But Fraser, you're gay, so it's kind of like you're like infiltrating. It'd be like if the three of us went to like we got to go in the girls' locker room and we get to look around. You're getting some bad stuff. Don't get me wrong, you're getting some bad stuff.
I can see
there might be some good stuff. There might be some.
Remember that time we went down the shore and we're passing that hotel that says like it was like free TVs or like $10 TVs, and that janitor fucking was like, "Oh yeah, they're this way," and we went this like roundabout way to get this place, and we went through like it's like a pool room, and like it was like they're like I don't know, like it was like the shower, like how like some pools like there'll be a pool and then you go out and there'll be a shower and then there's the changing room. We went through the shower area and I swear to God it was the girls' shower area because there was girls in there in bikinis. You remember that?
I remember being in the pool area. I don't remember going through the girl shower.
I just want to say that story is so sketch. Like free TVs and a janitor was like, come around this alleyway.
Like, just wanted to see
I didn't know where it was going.
There was ancient TVs.
I just want you to know, you guys were fucking a half step away from just like, hey kids, I got candy in the van. Like, guys were like, oh, let's follow this fucking janitor.
Would have been like, what kind of candy?
So I do want to address that because you said that like walking into the locker room, and obviously me being into men, the fact that it might not be a bad thing for me to see a naked guy, but the thing is when I see naked guys, it's because I want to. That's the first thing. The second thing is that like it's weird. I never see anyone attractive booty hole naked in the gym locker room like that. I've never once. Now maybe there are gyms. I've heard stories that there are gyms where guys go cruising. If you don't know what cruising is, it basically is when like I think it's gay men only, but it's when men go around to like parks and public places usually, and they aim to hook up with other men.
Yeah, it's probably gay guys that do that.
I think that it's predominantly a gay culture thing. It's other people probably do it,
right?
But it's predominantly a gay, like specifically man culture thing.
I think the women would be like, "Get the fuck away from me."
Well, no. But like my point being, like, and maybe there's women that do it, but culturally, it's not known that women do that.
Yeah,
like gay women going for other gay women.
Okay.
Like there's spas,
but it is known
for
gay men.
Yeah, so cruising is a thing, but I've never once experienced, and I only go to Planet Fitness. I don't go to any fancy gyms, so maybe this happens at the fancier gyms. But every gym I've ever been to, every time I've seen a guy naked in the shower room or like in the locker room or whatever, it's always a guy. He's always white. Let's start there. He's always fucking white and super old. And I don't know why that specific demographic is always the person, but it just is. Like that in my experience, it's just always that exact demographic. So,
Something I would pay to see Fraser's face as he has to look at old white niggas.
so you know, like when you walk in a place, you kind of just scan a room real quick, right?
Yeah.
So I walk in and I don't expect this ever, but like when it happens, it always takes me off guard. So I'm quick at averting my eyes. Like I'm very quick at like I see something and I quickly look away because I don't like to stare. So I'll see like, you know, I walk in, I scan a room real quick with my eyes. And then I just kind of like see the naked person. I'm like, oh, okay. And I just look the other way and I just find a locker that is on the exact opposite end of the room from the old ass man who's in there just casually naked in no rush to put on clothes. And I get the fuck out of there. And I think to myself,
I don't know
as
why
people walk in, I wonder.
It's so funny to me.
It's a real,
So-
you never, I guess, see, you don't go to the gym, do you, Cheyenne?
No.
It'll happen
Okay,
if you go
first
to
of
the.
First of
Yeah,
all,
look
that
at me.
question was crazy. Asking Cheyenne if he goes to the gym.
Listen, I don't know if he had a history of maybe he used to be like a fitness guy and maybe he lost it
No,
all.
I've seen I've been in the
I've seen a
YMCA
dumbbell.
locker room. I've seen a dumbbell once. No, I've been in the locker room where like
No,
yeah,
I've
there's
seen
just
a
old
dumbbell.
guys and they're just taking their fucking time. It's like there has to be somebody that has to go in there and be like, sir, you've been in naked in here for like 25 minutes. Get the fuck out of here.
Listen,
Like, there
on
has to
that,
be some kind of guy.
everybody in the world that's listening to this might not be able to understand where we're coming from. But for all of us that have grown up in the Pennsylvania area, there are these trees that are commonly referred to as cum trees. For whatever
What the
reason, like usually in the
fuck?
spring,
yeah.
in the spring or summer, maybe actually Fraser might not know because he has bad allergies and he can never smell anything.
I never knew
anyway.
this.
There's these trees. They're usually pink, and when they blossom in the spring, they smell like cum. Like
Yep.
literally,
Is this a fact?
100%.
110% fact. Like 110%.
I remember the first time I ever smelled them, I was like, well, that's it. That's cum. Somebody came
Yeah.
outside. I didn't know it was a
Wow.
tree.
So
I
you
did
can look
not
at
know
this.
this.
You can maybe even type in cum
No, you
tree
can
and
do
find.
the-
I'm not going to, but
Yeah.
thank you. Because I just feel like I don't want the algorithm to think that like I don't want the
they're-
algorithm to start showing me cum trees,
So
even though
they
it hears
bloom
me.
pink. They bloom. They're like these pink trees, and they literally just smell like a strong, pungent cum. Okay, and this is going somewhere. I don't know where else they are in the world. I know they're here in Pennsylvania.
There's the tree
The
right
point
there.
that I'm getting to is that I remember going into the YMC locker room, and it always smelled like those fucking trees. Every time you walked in, you would see an old ass man, balls to his knees, just fucking naked. And you would smell the cum trees, just like in the YMC locker room every fucking time.
Fraser
Every
said
time.
he was like, "Well, I want to see penis when I want to see penis, but like I want to see vagina all the time. Like if I was in the girls' locker room, I'd be like the old man just lounging around."
Cheyenne, that's
taking
just
my
not
time.
true. You actually just don't want to see vagina all the time.
Yeah, but don't you want to see dick all the time?
No,
Not all the time.
Not all the
Not
like,
all the
don't
time.
get me
A
wrong.
lot of the time.
There's a good amount of the day where I want to see, and not necessarily dick, but even just like naked, naked bodies. And I have
Right.
Twitter for that. I just literally open my Twitter app for 2 seconds and I'm just like, okay, there you go.
Get
Naked
your
bodies.
fill.
Yeah. But like
You
all
want
the time is
autonomy over
wild.
the way you absorb your penis pictures and dicks in general.
So, real quick, these they can bloom pink or white. So Cheyenne linked a Wikipedia article. I'm just going to read a part of it for these
Okay.
trees. The name of the tree is Pyrus caleriana. Okay. Anyway,
Nope.
I didn't say it correctly, but their dense clusters of white blossoms are conspicuous in early spring, with an odor often compared to rotting fish or semen.
Wow.
I've never smelled semen that smells like, at least my semen, that smelled like rotting fish.
Rotting fish
it's
sounds
never smelled
fucking
like-
awful.
I never smelled like it smelling like rotting fish. Only ever
To me, it
semen
always
fish,
smells
right?
like
Yeah.
semen. Yeah.
Well, you guys
Maybe
were
it's
lucky,
like
I guess.
maybe it's like a thing where like certain people smell it a certain way.
Yeah.
Maybe it's some shit like that. But I remember the first time, dude. You're just outside and you're like, somebody came outside. There's kids on the ground. There's fucking cum on the ground.
You just said
Somebody
that
came
so
outside.
fast. Like you gave me no opportunity to brace myself for anything. You
And
just
then I realized
fucking-
it was a tree, and I was like, okay, well, that tree is a cum tree.
Cum tree. We
Made out
call
of
them
cum.
cum trees.
somebody came on it. You don't immediately put it together that it's the fucking tree. You just think
Yeah, it
somebody
takes a
came
couple
on it.
times.
Yeah,
As a
man.
reminder to anybody listening, this is the Starship Troopers.
I was thinking the same thing, Kenny.
Just like
I was
derailed.
literally
Yeah.
thinking, how long have we been on naked old men
I'm
and
sorry.
fucking cum trees? Because that's just what happens with the IMNerd podcast. If you're new here, then I welcome. I guess that's what I'm gonna welcome to
Oh,
the
man.
IMNerd podcast. But that's what we're talking about right now. So is there anything else we covered, like how good the CG looks? There was this one part in the movie in Starship Troopers where one of the big Beetleborg looking things, the Beatles, it came out and it shot it's like a Beetleborg. It shoots a flamethrower.
the flamethrower. Yeah.
And it literally melts the hand because it's more than just fire. It's lava basically that this shit is spewing out of its antenna, and it literally melts the arm of this black chick. She's one of the infantry. It melts her arm off completely, like just takes it right off. And I looked at the scene again because it just played on my screen as I'm rewatching. But again, the CG in this movie is so well done that even something that usually is done horribly, like fire in movies and in games, is typically one of the things that they struggle with. Like if you ever look at fire and water in anything that's fake fire and water is usually just god awful. And it actually looks really fucking good in this movie. Like when her arm's melting off, it's pretty well done. It's pretty well done. Again, 1997, just to give you guys an idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we covered a lot. I guess I just want to throw it to Bill and Cheyenne, whichever one wants to go first. Is there any major things or things that are really interesting that you wanted to talk about that we didn't talk about yet relating to Starship Troopers?
Well, I guess like my only thing is like I still just find it annoying how somebody could watch it. Like I get if you're not into action movies, it's perfectly fine, right? If you're not into action movies, but it annoys me how like an audience could watch this and be like, "Man, wasn't that melodramatic and such a serious movie? What a piece of shit!" It's like I feel like they just missed the point. Like I think there's movies like that are kind of shitty. Like
correct.
Like Crank is kind of like, I like the movie, but it's not really great. It's a really cheesy fucking movie that's like intentionally cheesy. But like, I feel like you go into it, you want an action movie. It might be a little too long, like maybe like 15 minutes too long. Like there's a lot of early shit where they're playing like jump ball or whatever the fuck.
Right. Yeah, they
like,
could have cut that entire part where they play that one sport. They could cut that scene out and I would not even know it's missing.
That scene is almost only there just to establish the stupid fucking love triangle.
Correct.
Because like his girlfriend is like randomly just gets horny for like the other quarterback. And then he's like, "Hey dude, that's my girlfriend." And it's like, I don't know, it's kind of the scene.
Yeah, there's really nothing else to it. It could be omitted, but other than that, I do think that they do a good job of like the things that we need to see that are relevant and all that stuff. They're there, and I don't feel like many other scenes are just able to be omitted without hurting the integrity of the movie or whatever.
I guess I'm curious because what Cheyenne is saying about the early reviews in '97 and stuff. I'm curious what we could go back and watch. I'm not doing it right now, but I'm curious what the trailers and the marketing for the movie were like. Because if the trailers and the marketing were anything like I assume, which is just as campy and silly as the movie is, I can't imagine how you could watch that trailer and then go into the movie and then be like, "This movie sucks." You know what I mean? Like,
kind of like what the fuck?
Don't you know what you're getting yourself into?
Right.
That's kind of how I feel too. Like maybe they made it like a real serious drama picture, like or a trailer. But like I don't know how the fuck somebody could go into this expecting they're fucking fighting bugs on an alien planet. Like, what the fuck do you want?
Yeah.
Like I don't know what you want. What do you? And then, like the gore is fucking great, man. It holds up. Like there's a little bit of film grain over shit. But other than that, man,
I don't mind the film. I don't mind the grain.
I like the same. I don't mind it either. I don't mind it either.
I like it. I do kind of.
I'll be honest, barely notice it.
I personally like the aesthetic of this movie, and I wish that more movies look like this. I'm tired of the whole 4K thing. I get it, right? Like you want to push technology as far as you possibly can because we're humans. But sometimes I look at things that are supposed to be a movie, and it's just too close to realistic in the sense that the way it looks, like the actual way it looks, the frames and everything, I just think it's a little too, and it kind of loses the whole this is a movie aspect. Like Starship Troopers looks like a production. It looks like a movie.
Yeah.
I
agree with you.
Real quick, just add one more thing. There's just like there's like battle scenes, like when they're taking off, they get overrun at like the one fort and they're taking off with their ship. There are fucking hundreds of bugs on screen. Yeah. And it's 1997. That shit is like not really doable back then. And there's got to be fucking hundreds of little the tiger striped bugs
Yeah.
Predators
Yeah,
just
they
kind
are.
of running around, which is like
They-
nuts. It's like it looks fucking great too. It doesn't look cheesy. It fucking holds up.
They
You
do
know
it
what's crazy?
very
Yeah.
well.
Go ahead, Kenny.
And I just wanted to go back to what Fraser was saying about. I think I've said this before, but I want that for a lot of things. I want like how he was talking about movies, but like anime. A lot of anime kind of looks the same now. And to
It
be fair,
does.
like a lot of anime of each era, like every anime has like a look of the era, right? But the
Right.
point I'm getting to is I would love if maybe once a year, 3 times a year, we got an anime that looked like Trigun or Cowboy Bebop or
Right.
like that had that aesthetic, because
Yeah.
almost all anime now is done digitally. Like they're not hand drawn anymore. And I get it. That's a lot easier to do. But I would love if we got some hand drawn anime once a fucking season, just because like it just has a different aesthetic to it. And
It
like, the
does.
digital look is cool, but I don't know. I want variety.
Really liked watching Cowboy Bebop last year. I think that I watched it last year. I'm talking about the actual anime because I've never seen Cowboy Bebop fully until last year, and we did a podcast episode on it. So if you haven't listened to that yet, go listen to that if you're into Cowboy Bebop. But the aesthetic of Cowboy Bebop, the way it looks, is something that I do genuinely miss. And this could be the boomer in me talking. This could just be like because I grew up in the era where anime looked like that. But I do. There is something to be said about, you know, Demon Slayer looks like Demon Slayer, and that's great. It does look fucking fantastic. It is actual eye porn looking at Demon Slayer. But then when I was watching Cowboy Bebop, not only just the music and everything, but also, yeah, just the art of it, the animation of it, the way it looks, the style. It is kind of lost on today that the way things used to look is just not really done anymore. And I do actually miss it.
Yep.
So I wanted
Bill,
to
what
say,
about-
oh, go ahead,
Yep.
Cheyenne.
I was just curious what Bill's like kind of final thoughts are.
My final thoughts are, again, this is Bill talk. Like you had like when they first invaded what's the planet begins with a K? It's like Kaltul, that's it. It's like they have an assault landing, and it's like, okay, you're assaulting the bugs. Like where is your ground support vehicles? Like a tank, I can understand it's not effective against bug, but like where's your like APC to help the troops move around the planet and like maybe has a chain gun on it or something like that? It's just weird to me that there was no actual ground vehicles.
Yeah, they kind of just did like person versus person. It was like human versus bug.
It was just
There wasn't really
high
much.
bug.
Yeah, that's true.
And then another thing too is they knew the size of the bug because they had like
Yeah.
they had some captured ones.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, like where is your? It's just like it's wild. Like you would think you would have something to make your little man have a better chance to fight against this fucking giant bug.
Yeah, because they know how
say-
they know how dangerous they are. Go ahead.
I love if there's people listening that are like me and Fraser that have no fucking idea what Bill's talking about when it comes to like the military stuff. I just want to say, like, if anybody does know, basically my point is, if you guys want, the point I'm getting to is Bill is an ultra nerd when it comes to like this military stuff. Like he's a different kind of nerd, and how we were talking about how you can nerd out about food and fashion, all this other stuff. I think it's so interesting how much Bill knows about like weaponry and military stuff. Like for example, when Anthony on Critical Plus was streaming Final Fantasy VII Remake, I always bring this up, but there is a tank. There's like a destroyed tank in like one of the areas of the game that you walk past. And so Ant walks past it and Bill goes, "Oh, that's a this." And he says
The Chaito, the Chinese like World War I era tank.
He says just a random tank in this fantasy game that like we look at it and it's just a tank. Bill knew the model, like he knew what the tank was. My point is, I think it's so cool. And if I don't know if anybody's interested in like maybe we could do an episode one day about just like the fantasy, like things like Final Fantasy VII, where you have weaponry or military weaponry that are directly inspired by real world weaponry or military. And maybe we could have Bill on and he could just talk about a bunch of that shit. I don't know if anybody's interested in that. I think that'd be kind of cool because he knows so fucking much, and it's so foreign to me because he knows all the names and the code. Like, that's a 7846 M9er. It's like, oh, all right.
You're like, okay, sure.
Yep, whatever you say, my guy. It's all the same to me.
And I know we're not gonna watch, but there's a sequel called Hero of the Federation, and then there's a third
sequel
movie.
to this movie?
Yeah, Star Troopers. Yeah,
I'm down to watch it.
yeah. It's called Hero of the Federation, and there's the Star Troopers 3 Marauder is actually a sequel to the first movie.
So it
and actually has the original actor in it.
Well, here I wanted to say this.
Oh yeah, they bombed. It was direct to DVD. It was
The
$9
budget
million.
for the first movie was $100 million. The budget for Starship Troopers 2 is
9 million.
7 million.
There was 9. The Wikipedia says 9.
Another one's 9 million, I think. Wait,
We go from 100 million
so
to
the
7
budget's
million.
reduced by 93% reduction there.
So
on the budget.
they might make a good bad movie night.
Yeah, but I don't think in 2 they show it, but in the third movie, they actually show like they have like large battle shoots and almost like Gundams to fight the bugs with, which is like that's interesting.
That's cool.
Yo, okay, so speaking of like Starship Troopers and stuff, would you guys ever be interested in like watching some of these sequels that they have?
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's
right.
what we were just talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
'cause-
might be
listen.
alright to watch them.
I'm down. We were
I'm
just
not
talking about how
I'm not just gonna watch them. I'm buying that game. I'm gonna go kill some
Oh,
bugs.
right.
I'm gonna go kill
Yum.
some bugs,
Bill-
which is probably why
It'll
your
be
friend
fun, man.
or
It'll be
your
fun.
viewer was like, "Yo, Starship Troopers, do something on that," because like
you kill bugs good.
I'm gonna kill some good bugs.
Yeah, I'm down.
I'm
to-
down.
I have Discord Nitro now, so I can stream whenever we need to. I can download the movies, and we can make a whole thing about this. I definitely want to watch more
We can watch
movies.
the sequels. I think there's 2 more, right?
There's
No,
at
there's
least
a couple
one.
more.
Oh.
There's 4 more, I think.
Jesus
Okay,
Christ.
so
okay, that might
We
be a-
okay.
I think
So
it's
hold
only
on,
3.
wait.
I think it's only
We
3.
can watch if there's 4 more. We can watch
There's 2
the
anime
next.
movies. There's 2 anime
We can watch
movies.
the next 2 and do an episode on it, and then we can watch like we did with the Matrix. So we can watch
Right.
that, and like because it sounded like to me some of these are fucking horrible,
Yes.
and that'll be fun to talk about.
Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
It might be. I can't help but think they're going to be pretty bad.
But I'm going in. Try and play it.
But with an open mind, you know.
No.
Are you going in or
I'm going in.
Would you like to know more?
Starship
know
Troopers 2, bug porn,
Would you like to know
Google,
more?
just anything. They were kind of ahead of the ball a little bit on the internet thing. You know what I mean? It's kind of
It's
cool
like
to see
links
that.
and everything.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that pretty much concludes this. The only other thing I was going to say is I think that it's interesting in Starship Troopers, just to kind of loop all the way back just a little bit, that the bugs, I still think about this often because it kind of freaks me out. It's something that happened in Attack on Titan as well. The bugs just kill without eating us. And
Indiscriminately.
and for some reason, ever since I've watched Attack on Titan, the anime or whatever, they brought up how Annie was killing people because she was the female Titan or whatever, spoiler. Annie was killing people in Attack on Titan, and that was the first time they ever saw a Titan kill someone and not consume them, right?
And not eat it. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I'm watching Starship Troopers and they literally are just killing us, they actually show the bodies of the people that they've killed. When they come back to these battle scenes, there's not like a bunch of eaten humans. They come back to humans just dismembered and fucking strewn about the battlefield, but they're not picked over, they're not eaten, they're not bitten. They're just straight up murdered and left.
That's true. Yeah, the only time we really ever see that is with the brain bug. How he kind of has like a little straw going.
Yeah.
In the guy's head.
Right.
the
And
only
he
time
only
we
eats
really
the
see-
brain. He only eats
I
the
never
brain.
really put it together. I never really thought about that, Fraser.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's true.
That's because
So-
the bugs know the humans are a threat to their lives, you know?
Right. It's just interesting though, because usually, humans kill humans. We obviously don't eat each other, but when we kill other things, we do consume it. That's what every other species does. When it kills something, it usually consumes
Well,
it.
There
So-
was a conflict in China
Okay.
a long
All
time
right.
ago.
So anyway, guys, I'm going to read out the Patreon.
Oh boy.
So if you guys have been on the IMNerd podcast Patreon, thank you so much for your support. We are currently at like 62 active people on Patreon. It's a lot of you. And so I really want to send a thanks to every single one of you. And as always, I'm going to read out the names of everyone. We do have exclusive content that drops every month. We also have early access content. There's some things that people don't take advantage of. If you're at the tier where I do deck doctoring for Edison format, if you're interested in that, definitely, cash out on some of those benefits. Also the shadow game benefit, where you can challenge me or Kenny to a shadow game in Edison format, and we'll play a session or whatever, best 2 out of 3. It'll go on YouTube and all that good stuff. So if that type of stuff interests you, you can join our Patreon. Also, if you just want access to our Discord server, you can get in for the lowest tier on our Patreon, gets you access to our Discord. And once you're in there, you're in there. We don't monitor it every month to make sure that you're paying your Patreon bill or whatever. It's not like that. Once you're in, you're in. So if you show support for us at least for 1 month, then you're in our Discord in perpetuity, unless of course you do something to get kicked. And so far, no one has been kicked from our Discord server, thank God. Very good community in there. But anyways, without further ado, I want to give a shout out to, we have Connie, Ronathan, Leon, Stardust Dragon Assault Mode gave me PTSD, Xavier, Hylian, Dimitri Barnes, Volvi knows a spot in the woods, Dominic Roberts, Giovanni Avalos, Alex Flamer, Andre Reynolds. Hold on, let me go to page 2. Dan Vrabel, First to Home, S. Akuma, Mitchell Nellis, Midwest Gaming, William Shapiro, Dimitri Safirdas, Vince Marquette, Dallas Bailey. I wouldn't want to play me at full power either. Roz Weiss, Nick Stango, Hansel, our two-time national champion. Ka Chan is a poorly written character. Sarah Maria, Sunny Top Cut Podcast, Alex Ahern, Philip Campa, Jalen Haskins, Chris Lynn, Wookie 159, MSW 2389, Kyle Batelho, I'm not a hot pot, but I am chubby. Sugal, Nick, Mr. Soultide, Nafa, Corey Fowler, Vicky Venomon, Elijah Barfoth, and then
before I read these, I just want to say I always appreciate people changing their Patreon name. If somebody wants to change their Patreon name to something from this episode, like, I don't know, Cum Tree Smell Good. You know,
oh my God.
Go ahead and do it. I'd love that. So anyway,
my God.
to read off the rest of these names, we have a true hero, Tyler Tadeo, Majora X, who's here with us today, Anthony, Volvi, the Mega Monarch, Big Stinky, Crunchwrap, Duty Booty. Damn, Fraser played me. All right.
I'm sorry. Duty Booty? I'm sorry. I actually was typing a message on Discord. I'm like doing multiple things. I'm sorry.
Adam Corey and Raised Peacock, Leo Bacani, Janitor 215, James A, Thomas Rude, Joshua Carroll, Steve Rogers, Wayne Trader, Eric Chai, Wayne, I always say this guy's name wrong. I'm sorry, Wayne B. Finesse Kid, Tim Amaya, Owen Tedford, and Jeff Strain.
Wait, where's this other Wayne? So I see Wayne Trader. Who was fucking you up just now?
Wayne Trader, Eric Chai, and then Wayne Banguis.
Oh, I don't see this person. I don't even.
Oh, why does this always happen? Okay, never mind. I know what happened.
Okay, all right.
I know what happened.
All right.
God damn it, Wayne.
Anyway, yeah, that's everybody.
Yep, that's everybody. There we go. So thank you guys so much. And as we always say, do the things that make you happy, including enjoying a classic from 1997, Starship Troopers. Is one of my favorite movies, actually. And yeah, I watch this movie like once every 7 years or some shit. Like I've seen it pretty often throughout my life. That also tells you how old I am. But yeah, I've seen it pretty often. So yeah, we're getting out of here. Catch you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.